Yo, hello everyone, and welcome to the Buster Call live stream series. This is episode 2, and our guest today is Parvision, and this is someone I've been looking forward to, having on my channel. Me and him have collabed a few times in the past with Reverie streams and stuff on his channel, and it's always been so much fun. And I know this was highly requested here on the Buster Call series, where we just talk about everything. You guys post in the chat, all the super chats. We expose everything in One Piece. We don't hold back, and we're super unfiltered. We give all of our hottest takes. But yeah, I just want Parvision here to introduce himself, let everyone know who he is.
Like some kind of tech difficulty too, and that was oh, it says I'm muted.
Yeah, I just fixed it right now.
Okay.
You might have to just start from the top. I was about to actually catch that.
That's hilarious that happened, because what I was saying was there's a few hidden streams that we had together that didn't make it to the public eyes, just like my audio a second ago. But those are, I think one of them was after Jay's Reverie, and then we went 2 or 3 more hours after that, and that was kind of wild. You're wild for doing that, by the way, streaming after, a 12-hour Reverie.
Yeah, it's just I'm the kind of person where if I'm not making videos or streaming, I can probably go a while not doing it, but as soon as I get the itch to do it, and as soon as I start making the videos and start streaming, I'm like, yo, I don't want to stop. Let me keep going.
Yeah,
it's addicting.
No, I'm glad that's the same thing. We hopped on and I wasn't even. Yeah, it's a momentum thing. Once you're doing it, and then it's just unless I need to sleep, it's kind of hard to just be I don't need to turn this off. It's kind of chill, and that's a testament to the community too, right? I love interacting with them. If there's anything to introduce myself, I like having conversations about One Piece, and that's why I'm so grateful that you started this, because anybody who's pushing more conversations about One Piece, that's what I like. At the end of the day, that's what people come to the community for. That's why more people will come to the community. It'll be so interesting, right? One day someone will say, I started One Piece because I saw this random live stream and about anime, and then about One Piece, and then they got in, and it's weird, but that's happening. I see that every day, where just from the weirdest places, someone sees a random TikTok or a random short, and they're like, you know what, I started One Piece because of this, and it's a cool feeling. So for those of you guys who don't know who I am, I make theories, some fun ones. I used to have taglines, but now they're kind of obsolete because they already came true. Mihawk is a sword.
Okay, he's flexing. Okay.
In the future, people are gonna know me for the guy who made a 46-minute video about Bogard, a mega theory, and hey, I fully believe it. That was one of the harder videos to make because Bogart doesn't show up in this series, and I still made the video because I believe in it. It's wild. It's maybe we'll talk about it later, but that one was a fun one. We're getting some cool stuff in recent history in the chapters that it just makes One Piece super exciting. So if you guys like being excited about One Piece, got live reactions, got lots of theories, plenty to be excited about, regardless of what arc is your favorite, what character is your favorite. There's a lot of hidden gems there, So thank you again, Threevil, for having me, and your community for being so kind.
Of course. I think there's probably a lot of overlap. There's probably a lot of people that watch both of us simultaneously. The amount of people that were requesting for you, man, was insane.
Yeah.
Easily one of the top requests. You, JD Legend, Dax.
Yeah, Jay also, it's fun. What's mad funny about the Jay request is Jay doesn't not that he doesn't like theories, but he focuses on the narrative, emotional side. but wherever it is, everybody wants Jay, and it's so dope. It's so dope to see.
Yeah,
But
because
likewise
bro,
for you, because when I started streaming, everybody wanted our collab too. But then, we had to let fate take the wheel, and you came on to the 33rd episode, and on March 3rd, 3-3. Oh man, this is too crazy that day.
that was meant to be, man. Everything was just so lined up. But I'm glad to have you on today, man. There's a lot that we need to tackle, and there's actually one specific question that me specifically, I'm saving to ask. I might just ask. It might be the first question we go over. But
Okay.
there's so much we're gonna have to talk about, given like 1081 to the whole Blackberry country thing. But I'm gonna start with the super chats, because we got a $2 super chat from Lord Vegeta. He says, "What's good, chat? Stay lit."
Oh, Lord Vegeta, shout out to him.
And then another super chat from Mr. Bushido. He says, "I think Cross Guild will recruit more people, including Neomads, Weevil, Dofi, and Law. Law and Dofi hate each other, but Law can ignore that to save his crew and for Dofi to be freed." What are your thoughts, Parvision?
He said Doflamingo's gonna recruit Law.
No, I think Law's gonna recruit Dofi. I think that's what he said. I think that's what he's saying.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a video a long time ago, like around when we first saw Law and Blackbeard situation. I think the first, like 1063 is probably that time. Or 1064 is when they finished. I had a video saying like Impel Down 2.0, because like the idea essentially was Law's definitely not dying. That's what my ideas were at the time. And then I was like, I couldn't fathom what Oda could have possibly done in between him fighting Blackbeard and not dying, considering who he's up against. And so I was thinking at the time, like, oh, Blackbeard like captures him, just like Ace sends him to Impel Down. It was weird. Obviously, like, I was thinking Sulong Bekbo then, but then our chat was like, there's no moon, it's not sunset, all that stuff. And then Oda made like the Rumble Ball thing, so that was kind of cool. But overall, the thing was, for Law to get to Impel Down, Doflamingo's there, then it's an Impel Down 2.0, but with Law, and his counterpart is like Doflamingo, and it would be a way for them to like, at this point, Law should be stronger than Doflamingo, considering like the awakening stuff. It still wouldn't be like a crazy fight, but it would be more of like not Law getting washed like in Dressrosa and like leaving the fight primarily to Luffy. I think like at this point it would make sense for Law to be over Doflamingo, but so I see that. But now, to make the theory current, I think what makes the most sense is I think even in the opening of 1082 there was like this not the opening, but like there was like a line about like warlords. I just feel like I've been hearing whispers here and there, but I think Cross Guild is going to end up with all the warlords. I think it's just how it's supposed to be. I don't know, it's such a weird thing, but like I think they're just gonna, like, Boa might actually just be in thing by the end of it. If they decide to break out Impel Down prisoners, then they'll get Doflamingo and Weevil, and Law ending up in Cross Guild wouldn't be that crazy, because I think it's chapter 1057, I believe. Like Law is saying, or no, 1056. Law is basically like, yo, Buggy is him. He's Luffy's like, nah, he's an idiot. And then Law is basically like, nah, but if he has these competent people under him, he must be like incredible, right? So considering that dialogue, I don't think it'd be crazy to think that Law ends up in Cross Guild as well. And that all sounds crazy, but I think that's essentially what Cross Guild is for. It's for Oda to put in all of these antagonists all into one group. It's not Law, but like, all of the counterparts to Luffy and his crew into
these frenemies.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what it's meant to be.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. When the whole Cross Guild thing first started, I didn't necessarily think Law would have any place in it. But you know, it's actually funny that this was super chatted and we're talking about it because that's actually the next video I'm working on. I'm making a video on why I think Law might actually join Cross Guild. That specifically, because I feel like recently there's been a lot of little things, especially certain things you've said, and I'm not gonna repeat them because can't give away the sauce before the video. But you were spitting the whole time. I totally agree with like every approach you took on that. Cross Guild's like warming up to be so interesting, man.
So then here's a question, because maybe you don't have to say it, because then it's like kid ends up in Cross Guild too.
That's wild, bro. I don't know if I want to go in that, because like, you know, he was, you know, kind of removed from the story in such a way that you could compare it to Law. And if we're gonna say Law joins Cross Guild, then, you know, throw Kid in there. I can see that, but I don't know. I need something to make me commit, man.
Yeah, that Law makes more sense, but it's also, I'm just interested in where like Beppo is taking him, because it's like does Law like underwater be like go like he's like drowning, like, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
how does he direct Beppo, and where does Beppo go?
Here, think of it this way, all right? I'm just gonna give you a little bit of the picture. We know that Karai, Bari Island, Empty Bluffs Island, that's where Cross Guild's stationed at, and that's in the New World. So being that Winter Island's in the New World, I feel like it's just gonna be some anime BS where Beppo just so happened to swims on Empty Bluffs Island. I don't even know if there's necessarily a reason for Law and, you know, Cross Guild to run into each other. I think like it could just be pure coincidence and we see it coming because Oda's establishing a pattern, you know?
Yeah. I had a goofy question after that, but
no, go for it.
So this changes gears a little bit, but I mean, it's still related to 1082. But I've been on a particular train this entire time of Buggy not being as weak as people think, and I think we talked about that a little bit in previous collabs. I have a few videos between him. I know we separate on him being Rain God, but him having Fishman lineage, I think honestly makes sense. But underlying all of that is I believe that he would demonstrate hockey. Like, I think that he would have it, and like there's just like some goofy reason why he doesn't show it. And now it kind of makes sense, because in this chapter he basically said like this entire time he gave up on his dream because like Shanks is there. So that means, like, you know, the resolve, his true dream, he has not been chasing this entire time until now. Now he's like, you know what, it's time to go after the One Piece. It's time to become the Pirate King, right? That was his original dream. And I think on top of that, there's like a pattern with people who will say that. And I think of any character, the way Buggy did it is probably the most convincing. In that Crocodile and Mihawk, he did it against their wishes. They are two of the stronger people in the entire verse. I'm not gonna say strongest, because then people are like, but like Mihawk and Crocodile roll up to any country, any island, that everyone should run, right? Like it'd be rare for them to have people to fight these two. But that being said, he's being manhandled by these two, and despite that, he's getting stepped on by Crocodile, and he still goes, nah, you guys are gonna step on my dreams. I want to chase after the One Piece. I want to be the Pirate King. And so the parallel or connection is a lot of people who say that are conquerors. Do you think that Buggy is going to show conquerors hockey?
I'm down for that, man. For the longest time, I was preaching, look, Shanks is going to be some form of celestial. He's going to be from God Valley, and Buggy's going to be the beautiful counterpart where he has Rock's lineage. And now we're seeing Buggy have this whole Cross Guild arc. We're seeing how Shanks turns out to be a Fearland. He was found at God Valley. It's all crystallizing right now. I'm just waiting for the Buggy part. You know, so to answer your question, I think, you know, Buggy might have that Rock's blood, and it'll explain that natural rivalry between Shanks and Buggy, man. And you know, it'll just add so much depth, especially if you look back at 1082. Like, go ahead and reread that, thinking about like, man, Like, what if this guy is Rox's son, and this dude's over here like a Godose's son? Like, what if that's the case? That would be crazy, man. That's like a crazy counterpart.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think in our last collab we did talk a little bit about the Fraud Valley thing and like the Rox Buggy connection. I think this chapter, like, I don't know. Like, if people watch that video and then come back to me and say that it's improbable, like, look at the for example, I was kind of interested in this, but it wasn't until later into the chapter, and I don't know how OP scans translated. Maybe I should check that too, because we aren't getting Viz for a while. But when they're talking to that old dude, not the old dude, the guy who may or may not be cashing in the T-Bone bounty fairly, but you know, that being said, the I think it was one of the Buggy pirates. They were basically like, Buggy's not like those 2-bit pirates, and those 2-bit pirates are he's definitely talking about Crocodile and Mihawk, right? And let me see what the what OP scans translated as. It was like this random dude. Okay, yeah, he says he's on another level. The 2-bit pirates you've met before aren't fit to lick his boots. And I feel like the fact that it just says the 2-bit pirates is like, yeah, I don't know. So OP scans translated it very different. Interested to see what the way Viz does, but the overall point being that, like, there's just too many parallels now, in my opinion, of how Buggy's regarded in the current timeline and how Rox is probably regarded in the past. And then in terms of parallels to like Luffy, there's even more for that too, because like now I don't know if you noticed this, I tweeted it, Cross Guild made a ship that for Buggy, and it looks exactly like Barto's ship, Barto being in Grand Fleet. It's so meaning like there's like this reverence to Buggy that Luffy also has. So like if you think that Luffy gains allies because he's like this conqueror and he has that magnetic personality and that's just how he is, Buggy's the flip side of that, and we're getting the flip side completely paralleled, even down to the ship. The ship is literally like a 1-to-1. People can go look at my tweet for it, but it's just too funny. And now, like, with if because the thing about, yeah, like another question I guess, because like my favorite, I think, even though we had 1079, 1080, I'm sorry I keep asking questions.
It's all good, bro.
This chapter was one of my favorites. I'm gonna be honest, because like 1079 Shanks, like that one was predictable, right? Like I told people it was gonna happen. I literally future sighted exactly what Shanks said. Like literally, I just didn't know how insane Shanks would be about it. And then 1080, 1081, like, yeah, there were plot twists here and there, but like for me, that flashback to like the chapter 0 stuff between Buggy and Shanks, like that was so cool to me. And then getting like the depth of Buggy, of like him being like, yo, I thought Shanks would be the next king, I wasn't gonna become a pirate. And now Shanks is not saying he wants to chase after that. So like, you know, and then him giving up his dreams, I almost see that like it's an interesting thing, because what's it called, I just put out a short about how it's weird that Shanks his Jolly Roger is him with the 3 scars instead of him with like the red hair or whatever, because he's known as the red-haired pirates. And I was thinking like, wait, Shanks started a pirate crew before Blackbeard, so that means he had a Jolly Roger, but then he changed it after he got his scar. And now in this flashback, yeah, and now in this flashback, we basically get that confirmed in the sense of like, he wasn't going to do the One Piece stuff, Laugh Tale. He wasn't going to do that. He changed his mind. I'm not aiming for that, but I'll keep being a pirate. So he became a pirate, made a Jolly Roger. But is it when Blackbeard scarred him that he decided to change gears, start going after the Laugh Tale? Because that would imply, yeah, he changed his Jolly Roger because of Blackbeard. And like even Buggy insinuates like, why was he waiting so long, right? And to me, the reason why he was waiting so long is because that conversation he had with Roger that we still don't know about. There's probably something that Roger said that made it so that Shanks realized like it wasn't now. And then I went back, and I don't think Rogers like said out loud that it's like 20 years or anything like that. That's something like Odin went and died with and told people like, oh, in 20 years. They were just saying like out loud they were too early. So I wonder if like between Rogers' words to Shanks about when the right time was and Blackbeard's interaction with Shanks is how Shanks decided to go about going after the Laugh Tale, right? Whether it was him or someone else, I think Blackbeard is the one who helped him decide that, and that's why we see him make his Jolly Roger. So my overall point being like this flashback had so many different connections to various things, especially about Buggy, right? Because Buggy now says like, for whatever reason, fate or whatever, destiny put us on the same pedestal, same platform, and so now he's gonna go after the One Piece. And I almost wonder if like Roger and Rox had some kind of similar interaction where maybe they were on the same crew, like Buggy and Shanks were, and you know, Roger's parallel gets put into Shanks and Luffy. And maybe Buggy is another way of connecting it back to Rox. Is like maybe Rox had the same thing where he didn't necessarily want to go after it first, but then after getting so many strong people underneath him, he was like, you know what? I might as well do it now. I might as well go. I might as well, what is it called? Like do the biggest score. Mm. And yeah, I forget what my question was, but like, yo, I'm here. I feel like we're the two loudest people about Buggy and Rox connection.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's just so much to talk about, you know, and it, you know, partly being, you know, Buggy was introduced so early on, and same thing with Shanks. And since Shanks and Buggy play off of each other a lot, it's almost like you could use Shanks' character to talk about Buggy and vice versa a lot sometimes. It's really interesting. But let's go ahead and jump into some of these super chats. I'm curious to see, because I was reading ahead. I'm curious to see what you have to say about some of these. Mr. Bushido with 2 saying, thank you, Mr. Bushido. World government will erase Buggy from history like Rox. What is the Parvision analysis of that sentence?
World government's gonna erase Buggy
like Rox. Yes, sir.
So that is something I address in that video where again, it's splitting hairs in this context, but I don't think that the world government did erase Rox. I think that Rox essentially was erased by the extent of his crew was too embarrassed to tell his story, and on the other side, they needed to mask up God Valley, and so between that, over 40 years, that's how Rox ended up being forgotten, because we actually see like was it Momo Usagi talking to Garp, and she knows about God Valley too, and so like people know about it, and like, or she, not God Valley, she talked about Rox, and so you know, in that regard, the overall sentiment being that Rox is this dangerous entity that they need to address 1000%. Like, yeah, like even if I'm wrong on my analysis of how Rox was erased, regardless, yes, they are going to treat Buggy like a Rox level threat, and we're seeing that in this chapter, right? Like Sengoku's like, yo, we underestimated this dude, and I'm like, you weren't reading One Piece. I don't know what's wrong with you. You know what I mean? Like Sengoku of all people should have access to the One Piece, as in the sense of not like the One Piece, but like the story of what we've seen, right? Because as fleet admiral, like he should know what's going on. And the fact that he's sleeping on Buggy, man, I don't know. How do you sleep on a dude who literally is he was mauling over the fact that people escaped Impel Down, right? And he looks at that situation and he sees Luffy on one hand, jailbroken people out, Buggy and Blackbeard. like if those are the 3 people and you're sleeping on one of them, I feel like there's like some pattern disconnect that you have, Sengoku, you know what I mean? Like even from that, and then he was like, oh no, all these prisoners escaped. Who has all the prisoners? Buggy. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of goofy. So I want to shout out OP Scans. They were here and they're like, yo, Par, read the chat. I'm trying my best to keep up with 3-Vote right now. I have to tap into the, the vision.
No, you're carrying this right now, bro. Come on now. That whole take on Sengoku, you know, it is pretty interesting to see him, you know, come through in the story and, you know, actually be on screen again. Like me personally, I was not expecting to go into 1082 reading
Nah.
about Sengoku having a conversation with Suru. That was completely left field.
Yeah. The thing is, right? Sengoku and Suru. I need Suru to be one of the stronger people in the series, but Sengoku, especially now that we see Garp, like he should be one of those people. And I wonder if Oda is ever going to give these characters like the same on-screen demonstration that Garp is getting. And there's so many things. I think Sengoku said something. I'm like, yo, how are you still like this, right? Like, cause something I realized recently, honestly, because of my Bogard video and Garp video, was that like Akainu and Sengoku are so similar in the sense of their justice, right? Like I think the proper understanding of Sengoku's justice is reigning justice, meaning that justice comes first or something like that. I think that was what was Artur translated in the Vivre card, but like in his dialogue in this chapter, he said a few things of like I forget what it was. It was basically like a self-report. He was just like, how can we protect and serve the people if you constantly have to look over your shoulder when you're around them? And I'm like, yo, that's how everybody lives with around the world government and navy. And then he's like, if we don't neutralize cross-guild groups soon, this will kill the morale of every marine and weaken the whole navy. And I'm also looking at it like, because I'm sure you heard about this theory where like people think that T-Bone willingly gave up his bounty to feed his country, like the Pepe Kingdom, because people are assuming he's from there because he's malnourished as well. And like, you sit back and I was looking at it and I was like, wait, if Pepe Kingdom is part of the world government or something like that, then isn't this like a Wano parallel? Like, you know what I mean? Like, these guys are underneath your jurisdiction and this is what they're like. And Sengoku is just like, the biggest threat to them is Cross Guild. I'm like, wait a second. Like, you just mentioned how these people are now eating well because they got T-Bone's money, right? Like, it's like the hypocrisy in Sengoku is just kind of weird and crazy. And lines like that where I'm like, Oda's probably just using them for like dialogue now. But yeah, like Sengoku being the way he is, I want him to be cooler. I want him to be a lot cooler.
Yeah, man. I think he has some potential. And especially with the end of 1082, where he's asking about Garp and he's like, oh, how dare he go after Blackbeard? I don't know. I almost get the vibe that Sengoku might say F it and go after Garp or go to Hachinosu. But at the same time, it's not something I feel confident enough to put out there. You know, it definitely is. It's a fun thought. But
yeah. Did you think he threw up a death flag for Garp?
I guess you could see it that way. I had just put out a video about Garp dying. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, when he's just like, there's a new rice cracker flavor I want to try. I'm like,
no, that's another one Garp's done, bro.
Yeah.
No.
But the thing is, okay, I don't know what you put in your video because I'm on the same boat, but I was saying that it has to be to Blackbeard. Like, Blackbeard has to directly be involved, in my opinion, and it follows through with the thematic that Oda seems to be building up for One Piece, but more specifically Blackbeard himself, where we see even a character as crazy as Doflamingo having a weakness towards family, right? Like, he knew Corazon was backstabbing him, but he like didn't want to kill him even at the end because he was family, right? Even as something as blatant as that, you're willing to overlook it because of family. And that's something that I tied to Garp in my recent video, saying that we don't know what his sense of justice is yet. Oda never told us, and I was thinking it was like fatherly justice or familial justice. And the way I saw it was he's fatherly justice and Kobe might be familial justice, but or family justice. And the overall point being that like Blackbeard is the ender of fathers, right? Like Whitebeard, but then also he's willing to kill his own family. He's willing to betray his own family. He was an orphan given a family, but to get what he desires, he's willing to throw away even something that the most heinous criminals like Doflamingo and probably Kaido would not do, which is like betray family. And so that's why I want Blackbeard to be the one to take down Garp, because we see throughout the entire, every single time we see Garp, he's always at least at the minimum considering, but like committing treason for the sake of family, for the sake of children, for the sake of whatever, right? Like people think that like, oh, what's it called, like he didn't save Ace, but the thing is like he's the reason why Ace is alive, and like he's the reason, like he actually is the one who started Marineford, right? Like Ace shouldn't have been alive according to the Navy. He's the one who hid it, he's the one who allowed him to be born, the one who protected him. And then you get the turmoil, and I was thinking about making a part 2 because people are just like so adherent to want Garp to be this like awful person. But then you flash forward to Marineford, right? Like you picture this scenario where Ace is going to die, he is going to be murdered, he's going to be found, basically the Marines were slaughtering everybody who's pregnant, and Ace is going to be one of them. But if it weren't for Garp, he wouldn't even be alive. And then he's the reason, he sees him, he becomes a pirate, he doesn't necessarily do anything, and then against it, and then Marineford comes up, and Ace is like he's regretting life, you know what I mean? Like he's saying like, yo, should I have been born, you know what I mean? And he has flashbacks of Ace saying that as a kid, and that's like crazy turmoil, like like he's the reason why he's here, and now Ace is in this time like living this life, and he's like questioning why he exists. And so like, you know, it's so there's so much turmoil there. But Garp 100% has that like bias towards family, and I want Blackbeard to be the person to do it. And now that Kuzan's here, like I could see how the other Blackbeard pirates are like gonna give you know, Garp a run for his money. I could see that, but like I need him to die to Blackbeard. And so what do you think about like how like, because the death flags are there, Garp is dying, it's just when or
you
how
know,
or to who.
You know, my take on Garp dying, I didn't say this exactly in my video. I just uploaded it literally. Was it yes? Days are blending into each other. It went live yesterday.
That was a dope thumbnail.
Appreciate it, bro. Man, yeah, Lee J, you already know. Lee J is insane.
Yeah.
So I didn't exactly say this in my Garp video, but you know, we knew Ace was captured by the government. We knew he was at Impel Down. They were announcing the whole time, we're gonna kill Ace, we're gonna kill Ace, we're gonna kill Ace. 24 hours, 12 hours, 8 hours, 4 hours, right? It's like Oda was shoving us in the direction of Ace being executed like repeatedly, and then he ended up dying. Like sure, he didn't die to an execution like how they initially planned, but he did end up dying. So like, you know, in the case of Garp right now, I personally feel like there's just countless red flags, and you know, maybe he does die, but not in a way we're expecting, just like how I described the Ace situation. I think like that might be my best guess right now, but I do 100%. I would put money on him dying. Yeah,
it's there. It's gonna happen, and the thing is, it's set up like that, right? Like Roger's not here, Whitebeard's not here, Garp's not going to be here, and you know, it's you know, he even put out the line, right? Like where he's like, Kobe's the future of the Marine. At some point, these characters have to pass on the torch, and you know, maybe the reason, like an extended reason of why the Marines are at the state that they are, is that Garp couldn't pass on the torch earlier, right? Like a willing full passing of the torch, because like Whitebeard didn't have a willing one. He also like tied himself too carefully too close to his ambitions, I guess, like, and he carried it on until he was like literally on death's bed, right? Because he was like hooked up to medicine. He showed up at the Marineford basically half dead anyways. And there's something about like holding on to it too much too, because like then you see like Roger, right? Roger kind of like, yeah, I'm too early, no reason to like flounder about this, I'm gonna disband my pirate crew, I'm gonna have a kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like there's an interesting thing there, but at the end of the day, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And for me, I think it's still a little too soon. I mean, I think both of us at the last Reverie, I came in and then you came in, and we basically said the same thing, which is like, Garp, the sentiment behind it is that like Garp is the last person to have in story so far to have firsthand experience of God Valley. And so if we are going to get firsthand flashback of God Valley, it has to be through Garp, unless we add another character, like we talked on my collab recently about Kuma, which, you know, still a theory at this point.
Yep.
But Garp, a good theory, I might add, but Garp being that character, and it's like, you know, why is Pudding involved, right? The memories have to be like, she has to interact with memories at some point. What memories are the most valuable right now? It's God Valley. I think right now, if I ran a poll, people might actually say that they prefer to get God Valley info than Void Century video, which is crazy, but like, I get it, you know? So I want those pieces to come together somehow for that to happen. So one way or the other, I think like, yeah, Garp has a purpose. Garp is in the story for a reason, and there's an expiration date, unfortunately. So yeah.
All right, man, we're gonna head right back to the super chats. I got you very sidetracked. I kept asking you more questions. That was totally my fault.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
It's all good, bro. But we got 50 from Dion. Been waiting for this. Let's go. Do you know about Dion Parvision?
No, I don't. This is a new name to me.
This man Dion goes crazy in like One Piece live streams. He's such a generous guy, always going crazy, man. Huge shout out to Dion.
That's crazy, because I've been in live streams. I haven't seen Dion. That's crazy.
What?
Well, nice to meet you.
That's crazy. This guy's a living legend.
Dope. Loves to see it.
Mr. Bushido with the 2. Predict Carrot in 6 or 7 chapters, Par. And Mr. Bushido got a membership. Thank you, Mr. Bushido.
He predicts it, Carrot in 2. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. The thing is, like, the where I would see it connect more is like maybe the next cover stories, because we finished the Germa cover stories. Like, maybe the next ones are about Wano, like post Wano stories, like how Yamato's doing, what Momo's doing. I think Carrot being included in that in some regard might make sense, in the sense of like Momo and Zoe or Zunisha like connecting or like talking or something, and so Momo ends up, because Momo can fly now, so like maybe Momo just goes and sees Zunisha, and then that, you know, visits the Minx, and then we see how Carrot's doing, right? So I see it. I see I could be on board with that, but also if he's talking about in the canon, in the manga itself, like not the cover stories, I am a huge supporter of Oda pacing himself a little bit. These last 5 chapters have been insane, and I'm like, yo, you can only keep the Nas up for so long, you know what I mean? Like, we gotta slow down the pacing a little bit. I'm all for this insane rate of info and lore dump, but like I had this, and I was a little sick. Yeah, I'm still a little sick, by the way, guys, for people pointing out my voice stuff. But yesterday, maybe I was a little fatigued, but I went through and I saw the revs, and I saw like the vice captains or whatever, and like I was like, yo, there's too many new characters right now. Like,
no, I'm loving it, man. Like the fact that I expressed this before, but I can't, express it enough. Oda is showing us the assistance to the Rev commanders. In my opinion, he never had to do that, but he did it, and I really appreciate it. Like, if we went to the end of One Piece and never saw that, to me, I would be like, okay, I don't really care. But it's like one of those things where I feel like he went above and beyond for me, and I really like their designs. Yeah. Their names are cool. I really want to see more of the revs. I can't wait till we start power scaling people like Karasu Power Vision, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. It just feels like, honestly, I was saying, like, yo, the fact that he's doing this so close to Sword and tying their introductions so closely, it honestly gives me more validation in my recent, like, the who Sword's leader is, that video, because it's like Revs and Sword have been this like enigma for a long time, and it wouldn't be crazy to think that they are connected. I think a lot of, especially like theorists that we know, feel that way, that like the Revs and Sword probably have a connection, and that's what like that video is about. But the overall point being that, like, are we gonna get like all this info about Sword and the Revs at the same time, and not like, is it going to be less focused on each, or is Oda going to connect the both of them together, which is why we're going to introduce them together? Is it going to be a situation where, like, because I would hate to see it, because I love the Sword lineup right now with like Hibari, with Kujaku, with all these characters. I don't need in-depth about them, but I'd like a little bit closer to, like, not the Scabbards, but maybe more like the Vegapunk satellites. We don't know that much about them, other than like obviously thematic ties of where they are, who they are, like, you know, how they operate, that kind of thing. Like a little bit more exposition on them. But now we got the Revs, it's like, do we have is Oda actually going to devote the time to do that for all of them? I feel like I would want it to be a little bit closer, so that you could have like more in-depth conversations of like, yo, Karasu's probably the strongest one because of the blue that he's a part of, but then you look at his vice admiral or whatever they're called, and they're just cracked, you know what I mean? But like, we don't necessarily know right now like where they are, and I would love for more information, you know?
I don't want to throw us off track, but being that this is Buster Call and we have to expose everything on the stream, and me and you know, we are leaders in our own right in the theory community. You've put more than enough work in, and you're just, you know, a really respectful and consistent creator. You've made your landmark, and us coming together is a really great and important thing. But we got to get to very difficult topics like Karasu. What's going on with Karasu's devil fruit? What is that, a Zoan? Is that a mythical Zoan? What Logia, Paramecia? What's going on with Karasu's devil fruit?
So that's a fun one. That was actually my, you know, like the voice of all things, right? When I started that stream, the series last year, I forget if it was the third. I have it. The episode's titled "Mythical Zoans." At the time, like the thing that I was establishing was that like mythical Zoans. I forget what chapter this was, but it was basically that mythical Zoans, and this was before Road to Laugh Tale, but mythical Zoans having the Zoan aspect, but each of them having like a Logia / Paramecia aspect, and that being a way to like predict future Logias, or not future Logias, future mythical Zoans. Like a mythical Zoan would be something that has both, and also it would help you figure out like if there are other Paramecias that could be mythical Zoans instead of, or Logias that are mythical Zoans instead. That was like the purpose of that stream, and Karasu fell under that boat of maybe he is a mythical Zoan. And the thing I feel like from memory was a few people super chatted the possibility that it was a Logia, and I was asking them like what do they see, like how would that fit in, and they didn't have too many answers for it. But obviously Karasu meaning crow, like we see he pulls out a bunch of crows, he can like create crows. And the thing that we originally landed on, or I originally landed on, was he was a mythical Zoan, and he had his Paramecia power was the Kage no Mi, which is Moria's fruit. So he could create shadows just like Moria, just to a lesser degree, right? Like we see that like Yamato, for example, has like the ice breath. So like there's elements of like ice in the mythical Zoan, and so you get this wolf Zoan and then the ice power. So similarly, you have Karasu with the crow powers, and then the Paramecia of the shadow power. And then another option that was second, honestly, was it was that crows, I think especially in old times, or even now, I don't know if people like watch crows like this, but they were saying like crows used to get described as a liquid, which is like
Really?
so interesting. So like a murder, yeah, like a murder of crows when they like flow and stuff, like they're more comparable to a liquid. And I was like, yo, that would be kind of crazy if this was like a just a logia of crow, just being like that nebulous thing. But like, yeah, I forget where we saw that, but if I went back to that stream, I'd be able to find it. But we were basically like, I was saying that mythical zones first, paramecia is the shadow fruit, and then, or elements of it, and then second I could see as a logia. And I'm interested to find out. I'm interested to know what you think though.
I absolutely love the idea. I didn't even think about that. Like, again, you had the wolf, and then the subset powers, I don't, for lack of a better term, would be the ice, and Karasu would be liquid, right? But that's what you were basically getting at, because crows used to be labeled as a liquid.
It's like cutting in and out the mic for me.
Oh, like for you on stream or my mic?
I don't know if it's a stream or just me, but yeah, it was. I think I understood what you're saying, but if you just run back like the last two sentences.
No problem. I was just asking, like, just to clarify, you were saying that he would basically be the Zoan from a crow, and then like the Logia for liquid, like he's a liquid crow, kind of like how they had the ice fox.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry. I don't know for me.
Okay. I might have hiccuped there. Are we good now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm good.
Okay. Your camera's, it seems fine, and I just heard you now. We might be good. That might have just been a little hiccup there.
Yeah. I'm hearing you clear now.
All right, cool. No, I was just basically clarifying with you that you were basically saying he would be a liquid crow, basically.
Yeah, something like that. Like that would be the Logia form, but the the Zoan part, like I think that one's just more straightforward. Like maybe there's like a special crow in like history, or something like that.
So that basically plays off the Yamato. Yeah. But previous to this conversation, to be honest, I didn't have something I really wanted to put my chips on, but I really like this take, and I'm gonna be thinking about it from here on out. I can't even think of any way to debunk it.
I really want Oda to flesh out that mythical Zoan route, because it almost feels like we're gonna get more. The fact that Onigashima ended the way it did, I feel like it's just prime for us to just be getting more mythical zones in the future. And like it's more of a question of what inspirations Oda's gonna pull for those mythical ones. And I think right now he's pulling from mainly Japanese references for the mythical zones, right? Like Nika is something he made on his own, but obviously like the Hanuman connections, right? That's closer to like Buddhism and Japan mythology. But then you look at Yamato's one, Kaido's one. These are all like Japanese-esque ones. Even like the Buddha could be said to be like that, right? So it's like if there's a mythology about crows, which I'm sure there is for Japan, then that's probably what Karasu is.
Yeah, and when you think, I'm sorry if I missed this detail, when you think about how Yamato was labeled as like the guardian deity, maybe there's a crow guardian deity, like that specific kind of lane, a crow guardian deity. I could Google that right now. But
yeah, no, definitely, because it's basically two videos in one. But my old awakening theory of like how you get to an awakening, and I was basically saying that like the reason why I made that video primarily was, yes, to like talk about mythical zones and flesh out this formula that it feels like Oda's doing, but how does it reflect on Kaido? And honestly, if you took the thing that we talked about in that video and applied it to Lucci and Kaku, you would have been able to predict that, yeah, they could be awakened. I personally didn't even think about that when it came to it, but then when they did awaken, I was like, oh, like that makes complete sense, and I pulled up that video.
I just found something for
Kaido.
Continue.
Wait, right before that, but like, yeah, like Kaido, for example, I was saying that he might be the guardian, his dragon might be the guardian of like Fishman Island, for example, because Fishman Island is Ryugu Kingdom with a dragon, Imperial Dragon. Their castle is Imperial Dragon Palace. On top of it's a dragon, and yet there are no dragons, right? So like it would make sense that one way or the other, the dragon was for there, and that being a huge reason as to why he didn't awaken, because he's not aligning with the dream or will that the fruit essentially would have. And then the other side of it being that even in Wano, I think Kiku told us this, was that Kaido was getting the being known or celebrated as the guardian of land, which would tie back to Fishman Island, because all they want is land, right? So like if the way Kaido operated and protective over Wano or whatever, like maybe if he was doing that for Fishman Island, maybe he'd be able to awaken. And obviously it ties back to his fruit name and all that stuff, but that overall being the point that mythical zoans are probably the guardian deities of their respective important places across the ancient kingdom. And there's a few other things, but let me know about the crow thing, because that's pretty interesting.
No, I've really liked everything you were getting at, especially with the Kaido devil fruit, the dragon being from Fishman Island. I think that's really cool. But what I was gonna say about the crow stuff, I don't know if you've heard about the Morrigan from Irish mythology. Mm-hmm. We know that
No,
Irish definitely have their fair share of Viking heritage, so maybe Irish mythology will have something to do with Elbaf. But basically, the Morrigan is like a phantom queen that's like represented as like a crow. And I'm just like looking at the Wikipedia page right now, and like there's a lot of interesting things in here that might be able to apply to Karasu and his devil fruit. You might want to check it out. It's called the Morrigan.
I see it. The Great Queen, the Phantom Queen. That's kind of ooh, that sounds great.
So that would be like a mythical zone, kind of like Yamato. Yamato's mythical zone, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's something to think about, because I've always been so interested in the Karasu. So your explanation today, I knew today you were gonna like open my eyes to something. I was just waiting to see what it was gonna be.
And it's interesting for like giving the revolutionaries like important powers like that, like Bello Betty's, right? Bello Betty's is even like, it just sounds like a Joy Boy kind of like similar fruit, where it's like Joy Boy's supposed to give smiles to everybody, right? And Bello Betty's like the pump fruit, so she's like is able to amp up people in their emotions, right? So like if you see versions of that, like it might even be that like the sun god Nika has, holy, Dion Edwards is going nuts.
What?
Right
Yo.
Yo, that's wild.
Dion Edwards is nuts. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was the what's it called? The yo, this happens on my stream where if there's participation from the chat like that, I get like amnesia about what I'm talking about. And this is the first time it's happened, like, because on someone else's stream. But for what I was saying, what was I saying?
You were talking about the pump fruit.
Yeah, like it might be that like Luffy's, the sun god Nika, like maybe has elements of that. Like I wouldn't be surprised if these Paramecia powers, especially when it comes to mythical zones, right? We see of like Kaido's fruit, like he can bring a storm and breathe fire and flame clouds. It's like how many of those things are just separated out of like different like aspects of powers. And so Karasu's, going back to that, like I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a super in-depth and important power that's like honestly a reflection of the revolutionaries, right? Like the shadowy element that the revs are supposed to have narratively and like functionally, being shadows in various kingdoms, being shadows in the story, a lot of those things. And so yeah, when it comes to Karasu, I definitely see that route. And I think another important thing is there's like a narrative element as well of like, hey, like if Yamato is supposed to be the guardian of Wano, and then you look at the wolf, I forgot the name of it, but it's supposed to be like the guardian of people in Japan, and like then you go to the Kaido example. This is actually a funny one, and I didn't put it in the video, but I put it in the description because there's actually a separate series actually relating to rocks, but we don't have to talk about that part right now. But the Kaido thing, if he's supposed to be the guardian of Fishman Island, and that's like what his fruit's will is, it could explain why he has a bias towards Jack, right? Because Jack is a fishman. But there's also one other character, and I was like, I to this day I'm like, why is this a thing where when you look at Udon Prison, there is one character who was not forced into labor, but honestly, when you sit back, this is a character for all regards should have been killed by Orochi. Like there's one character that was not in like this labor camps. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
Kawamatsu was the only prisoner that just like, yeah, they fed him garbage food, but like Orochi would want to have killed him because he's a scabbard, right? Like his entire PTSD was like, oh no, Kawamatsu.
Wow.
Like, yeah, but so he's not killed, but then in Udon he's not working. And if Kaido is overseeing this, like, is that a bias there? It's the only character not forced to work, and I'm wondering if that's the reason.
Did they want him to be miserable? Like, you throw this guy in a cage, can't do nothing in the darkness all day, haven't eaten like horrible food. Like, is that worse than just dying? Maybe. Like, maybe,
but like when you think about Orochi, right? Like, did he want that, or did he want them to die? Right? Like his entire thing. He was getting gaslit by everybody, like, oh, the scabbard shadows, blah blah blah, they're coming back, and everyone's like, yeah, sure, Orochi, it's been 20 years. And then like the entire time he's like, like all the scabbards should be killed, right? Like it should be on site. And so on one side you have Orochi, who would want everybody to be, more than anyone, the scabbards to be dead. And on the other side you have Kaido, who is forcing everybody into labor. So why is there one character that's an exception to both in between? And I always wondered if that's a meaningful aspect, but the only, like, I doubt it's gonna be like this huge, like, oh, Kawamatsu is special for whatever reason. But the one thing that could make sense is that Kaido has a bias towards fishermen, and we see that with Jack, right? Like Jack is like, he treats Jack like a son, and he's like, it's okay, you failed 3 times, but you're still Jack. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And Jack is a fisherman, so it's kind of interesting. I wonder if that's why, Kaido's fish fruit imparts like a will of that nature, like a protective nature over fishermen. It's interesting. Yeah, and then that could play off onto Karasu, right? Like some way, somehow, like these emotional ties to the mythology, to the narrative thing, could reflect in his powers and what he does, right? So, yeah, I'm excited for more Mythical Zoans, though.
All right, we'll move on to the next super chat. Mr. Bushido again with the 5. I don't see Kid joining Cross Guild. I think he will meet someone older who will train him. Kid will learn from this and evolve. He bows to no one.
Okay.
I don't know, man. Like, for me, like, I feel much more comfortable talking about the future of Luffy, the future of Law. Kid is very hazy, you know. The only thing he's really expressed that he cares for is becoming Pirate King. You know, he doesn't really have an established crew. He doesn't have any other higher dream. He doesn't have any friends around the world. He doesn't have any known kingdoms under his belt. Like, he's not connected enough for me to, feel like he's gonna work with, such and such, this character, this guy, Scott Vagabond. Like, no one who in the actual One Piece story likes Kid, and they're like, yeah, that's my homie. Dion Edwards with another 50. What?
Whoa. Yo, it's a total of 120 from this single power. You are not lying about this.
I'm telling you, this guy's insane. Dion Edwards, thank you so much. You're fucking nuts, bro.
Damn. Love to see that support. That's crazy.
This is how the OP community is, man. Like,
yeah.
I'm glad to have everybody here, and glad to have you on, man. I've learned like multiple things today at this point.
Hey, thank you for. Well, again, like I'm appreciative, Dion, because you starting this series, right? Like we need this to continue. More conversations, the better.
Yes, sir. And then Caleb with the 1 month. I think Mihawk wants Buggy's power to attract people. That's actually really interesting. Remember in Marineford, Mihawk said Luffy's power, blah blah blah. I think Mihawk. Wait, has Mihawk expressed that Buggy has it? Like, has Mihawk canonically acknowledged Buggy having that power?
And I'm lagging out, I guess.
Oh man. Let me see.
Okay, I heard that. Has Mihawk expressed that Buggy having that power? That's what she said, right?
Yeah. Do you believe Mihawk, or do you know if Mihawk has expressed Buggy having that power?
No, I don't think he said it explicitly about Buggy, but I don't think he'll be short to see it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I think he's already noticed it. It doesn't even need to be said explicitly, right? Like, that's kind of how I see it. It might be more so like, because right now they're kind of acting not disjointed, but they don't have the they don't have the ambition. Crosscut doesn't have a direction yet, right? So whereas at Marineford, when he was talking about Luffy, there was this direction of saving Ace and Luffy pulling in the most ridiculous like people into somehow following suit, right? Like, I think the moment that Buggy pulls everybody to a singular direction is when Mihawk goes like, yo, Buggy is kind of cracked, you know what I mean? So yeah, and then that's another tie-in of like the connection, right? Like, yeah, like that's a formidable power that Buggy definitely has, and you know, the others don't. The others just don't. Yeah. Oh, but there was one thing I want to say about the Mr. Bushido's thing, last one, previous one, because me and Mr. Bushido have talked about this, because this is one thing that I did post in my Discord, though I'm not as active in my Discord recently, was that Kid's crew, like even Killer, they might be connected to the Rocks pirates more than we realize. And the reason why I say that is because primarily if there was any kind of parallel of like Luffy to Kid, it would be interesting if like Luffy has indirectly and directly have like loose connections to Roger, not Roger directly, but his right hand, Rayleigh, and then Shanks inspired him, Rayleigh trained him, Crocus was a guiding measure for Luffy. There are these like people that descended from the Roger pirates that Luffy interacted with, and I was like, it would be interesting if the Rocks pirates had something similar. And the thing is, we know that the Rocks pirates are and were still in operation, right? Like, yeah, Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, they were all doing their own things, but that's not the only people in Rocks' crew, right? Like, we recently learned about Wang Ji, and then we also know that Captain John had an extended life up until a certain point, up until wherever Moria got the body. So it wouldn't be crazy to think that maybe the Rocks pirates had their own Luffy, in a sense of like, maybe they all interacted with a similar pirate, and that being Kid, and that leading Kid down to his line. And the connection that sparked this was, originally I was like, yo, what if the reason why Oda has been hiding Killer's face and we don't know what he looks like even as a child, what if it was because he's like a Shiki clone, because his hair matches, the goatee matches, his lip matches, the only things Oda has shown us, because he bandaged up his face, all of those things connect actually like one-to-one to Shiki. And then I was like, wait a second, like Shiki's not dead, like couldn't Shiki just like have a kid, and then the timeline could make sense that Killer's just Shiki's kid. And then it's like, okay, well, if Killer has that, then what if like Kid also did? And I feel like I might have mentioned this briefly before, but a lot of people already see the Captain John, not Captain John. Was it the original Captain John and Captain Kid have the same inspiration from like the real world pilot? Yeah, and the other thing is they both have the same epithet of like Captain, like Captain John and Captain Eustace is Captain. And then so like there is this like interesting connection there where they could be related, and then the rest of it would be like, yeah, maybe Shiki trained them, right? Maybe Shiki was in their life like Garp was or something, or maybe there's like another apprentice on the Rocks' on the Rocks crew that would be like Shanks to the Kid Pirates. And you know, whether those characters are going to be important or not, the fact is Oda did reintroduce like Wang Ji, right? So is you know, Silver Axe, for example, going to be related? And the thing about Silver Axe is if you look at, I think it's Heat, or it's either Heat or Wire. I think it's Heat. Let me just double check this. Heat. Let me see this. Heat. No, I think it's Wire. Let me pull up this guy. I think Wire has axes around his neck. Yes, he's wearing an axe necklace, and I'm like, yo, what if Silver Axe's kid is Wire? And you look like it's so random. I don't know about you, but having axes on your like as jewelry is kind of random, right?
Yeah.
So hey, like I could see that, and maybe that's who they get trained from. I don't know. But then it goes back to what you were more or less saying. Like, is it necessary? Like, is Kid that important? I don't really know. You know what I mean? It depends on how much Oda wants to do. But maybe is what I'm saying.
maybe.
Yeah.
All right. And then we got another super chat from Alexander. He said, Kobe equals Gary, Smoker equals Sengoku. I think he means Garp. Kobe equals Garp, Smoker equals Sengoku.
I thought he was making a Pokemon reference.
Gary, like, from Pokemon.
Yeah. But yeah, Garp and Sengoku, that makes sense. Wait, who did he say was Sengoku?
He said Smoker is Sengoku, Kobe's Garp. So like Smoker would what? Be the guy that continues going forwards? Like, because Smoker doesn't really have too much of a relationship with Kobe, you know, so it's kind of tricky to say like, you know, Kobe, Garp, Smoker, Sengoku.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see it that way. I just see like, you know, Kobe, Garp, oh not Kobe, Kobe, Smoker, like Kuzan, even like all of these characters, they were fathered by Garp in a way, right? Like whether Smoker has a relation to Garp, I think like the will that was extended out could be related to that. I could see that, but Kobe and Kuzan specifically, they were both proteges, right? I don't think that we're gonna see a situation where Garp is embodied by a singular character. I think it'll be spread out amongst many characters, and you know, that's just kind of like how the legends fall through, right? Like there's probably a lot of people that got Roger's will, and you know, Luffy wasn't even at the execution, but Rayleigh said like, oh, like, you know, I imagine like a few of these people got Roger's will from there, and we see those characters. And what's interesting is I was in a collab with Zonin, and he was pushing this theory, and I really like it. Was we might have seen, Oda might have told us who's going to be like the de facto main members of Cross Guild in Chapter 0 by the characters who got Roger's will. And so what you see in Chapter 0 is you see when Roger's executed, you see in the center it's Buggy. I think left of him is Mihawk and right of him is Crocodile. And then on the outside is Doflamingo and Moria. And so he was saying like, could it be that those are the main characters? Like if we think that there's going to be more, it wouldn't be crazy to think that the people who got Roger's will are going to be the people that join under Buggy, who's now chasing after the One Piece, wanting to become Pirate King. So, you know, and then they all fall under the same banner. I wouldn't be surprised.
All right. Mr. Bushido says Buggy is Rox's son and Dragon's brother, Luffy's uncle. Wait, so Buggy is Rox's son, but also Dragon's brother. Huh. That's a really interesting take.
Yeah. I'm on the boat. Hey, maybe Dragon's related to Rox, and he's Garp's in-law son, son-in-law. I'm on boat. But then if you also want to throw in that Buggy is also Rox's kid, it's like, yo, like, was Rox out there pimping? Like, what are we saying? Same moms? Like, what's happening?
This man Rox wanted to just spread his lineage, man.
Yeah, spread that seed.
Mr. Miles, shout out to the boy with the 2. Do you guys think the Sunny will get a Zoan fruit? Damn, that's such a fun theory, man. That's fun.
I have an entire video about it.
Let's go. Go for the plug, bro. I'm more than happy.
The thing is, I made that video because people were saying, I in a previous video, I kind of just said it. I was like, yo, I could see the Sunny getting a devil fruit, and then people are like, wouldn't it just sink? And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. And I think this is back like on TikTok. So many people are like, that you're dumb, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, that's literally not, like, you don't touch water and then you just like lose all of it. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, Oda had an SPS. It's about being submerged in water, and the thing about boats is that their entire point is to not be submerged in water. So like, maybe it can't, people are saying like, wouldn't it just sink? I'm like, hold on, a boat? If someone eats a devil fruit, it's not like they stop being human. Like, that's not like, so if a ship got a devil fruit, like if Lasso, like if Funk Fruit as a sword eats a devil, it's not like it stops being a sword. It's not like it stops cutting people or stops shooting things like Lasso, right? So the same thing with the ship, right? Boats literally float on water, which would mean that they wouldn't be affected. Maybe they can't use the devil fruit's power completely, but yeah, the video is called Would Devil Fruit Boats Float, and it was this whole thing about how honestly, one of the other things that we brought up about that video recently was at the very end of it, I was talking about how if a ship could get a boat, what constitutes a ship? Can an island have a devil fruit, or can an island be sentient? And I put a picture of Zoe at the time, but it's like now, especially now that we have Vegapunk's thing, because this is like a two-year-old video. Now that we have Vegapunk's explanation and Pizarro, it's like, yeah, like there was somebody who either dreamed to be an island and then he became an island fruit, but at the same time, then it's like the flip side where it's like, wait, an island can be sentient, right? And so, like, literally anything can have a devil fruit at this point. Don't be surprised. And the Sunny in that video, I think I was saying that because it was in Onigashima, I was saying that Marco would die and the Sunny would get Marco's fruit and become the Phoenix. And like, then it could show up wherever it wants. It would never be damaged like the Mary. It would always regenerate. It would be a different kind of flame, right? Like, as the Going Mary went up in flames, and then the, Marco's fruit. I just kind of like that. So if the Sunny got a fruit, I would like Marco's fruit to be that.
It would be so fun, man.
Yeah.
Just watch a little Sunny jump around.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be sentient by the end of it, because it's gonna get a Cloboderman, and that was another prediction that people ran to me about, and I was like, you guys are making this shit up, but because this is before Film Red released anything, and then Oda gave us Sunny-kun in Film Red, and that's something that I was like, yo, the Sunny is going to be personified. It's gonna have like an avatar or some sort, and so then it was like, yo, he's gonna, and then in Film Red we got that, so Oda's going that direction 100%.
All right, they said your camera was frozen. That's because I accidentally minimized you, but you're back. You're back now.
Got it.
Appreciate you guys in chat. Yeah, when you minimize it or whatever.
Yeah.
appreciate you guys in chat letting me know. And Growth Stonks with the 2. Emu is the former Void Century mermaid princess. You know, I was, and I feel like I still am in the camp of, Moon Princess. I think Emu's connection to Kaguya from Japan and Kaguya from Naruto is immense. Just them having this relationship with like this big tree, them having magical fruits in their possession, them being related to people from outer space, because the whole Saturn thing, there's just all these ties, with Emu to the moon. So my thing's like, okay, can Emu be simultaneously, can Emu be the moon personified while simultaneously being the mermaid princess? Can Oda make both of them work together? That I'm not sure. I might have to work that out. Maybe Power Vision has an answer.
I have a lot of Emu theories, and I come to a point where like I wouldn't be surprised if like Emu is like everything, right? Like the eye connection. Me and you spoke about this in DMs recently about the double layered eyes. Sulongs have that, and then right after we got introduced to Sulongs, we got Emu's eyes. And one of the most prominent things about the Sulong minks is their double layered eyes that are very similar to Emu's. Then on top of that, I made a video that Emu is a dragon fishman, because they're if like Luffy's Nika fruit is a human, a mythical human, that means it existed at some point as a normal human, which would imply that also Kaido's fruit, the dragon exists as a fish that existed. So why wouldn't there be a fishman race of dragons? And that being the celestial dragons connecting to that, because when has Oda ever led us astray about tribe names, right? They're called the heavenly dragon folk. And so like Fishman mink, like the thing is, time and time again we're getting this connection of like, yo, these characters might not be as separate as we think, right? Like from humanity, meaning like fishmen are like, they can have hybrid humans, and so can minks. In my opinion, they don't even consider themselves separate from humans. So if Emu were tying in all those races, I wouldn't be surprised if it's as simple as that. Oda puts them all together as like a narrative thing. Something I learned recently was one of the original Kaguya stories. I'm not fresh on this, but another creator told me about this, was that the moon wasn't necessarily I don't know which iteration, if this is original or of like a historical story version of it, but the moon didn't necessarily symbolize the moon like the physical celestial body. It could have symbolized another realm or another dimension, and I think one translations had it as like an underwater kingdom, undersea kingdom that Kaguya was originally from. And so that original entity being led by like a sea devil or something like that. And so Kaguya being like, it could be that you could morph the two together, like Kaguya being from the moon and a sea devil could line up for what Oda is doing here. And Oda blends a lot of things together. Rarely, honestly, does he do like a one-to-one like connection. I think like the Momotaro, even that, it's not like a one-to-one, but it is like you see the elements of it are there, but it's not maybe told in the exact same formula. I could see that happening here. And so when it comes to Eam, I think Eam could be all of them, everything combined, and that might be the whole point, like the entire plot twist of the story. The only one that I'm questioning at the moment is Lunarian. I wonder if Lunarian's in that mix, and I don't know if I can explain fully why at this point because I'm still thinking about it. But like Lunarians to me feel like the outliers right now, and so I wonder. I don't know if Eam is directly tied to Lunarians, or Lunarians like were made in the Void Century or something like that. I'm not sure. But I think that covered like, if Emu could be the sea mermaid princess, I could see it. I could see that for sure.
Thank God I made a video about Emu being a moon princess, and then I also made the sea devil one. Thank God I cashed in on both. You just made my day, man.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like people are gonna go back and be like like of course, because I have so many different theories about Eam, and I'm glad you are also the type of person to not be locked into one theory and making multiple. But also the point is, like, I think that the fact that you can make a strong argument for both and many more on top of that, I think it might lend itself to, like, yeah, why would Oda not make this character that's like the end stage antagonist from many angles to be so inclusive of so many different inspirations of stories of stories that Oda likes, prominent, even down to like Hidden Island's idea of like it being like a supercomputer, right? If he loves Terminator and like those kinds of stories, like Oda loves those kinds of stories, then yeah, Imu could also be like this futuristic thing, and he could be tying in like a futuristic and ancient and mythological, technological, like behemoth type of character. I could 100% see that, and that would be Oda's way of making like a very original end stage antagonist, which would be really cool for sure.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to be honest. At this stage of the game, I don't think Imu's gonna be used, as someone like Hody Jones. Where Hody Jones, a large part of his character is very simple. They asked him, "Hey, why are you doing this? Why do you hate the fishmen? Why are you killing everybody?" "I just hate them. There is no reason." So I don't think Imu's gonna be that type. I think Imu's gonna be multifaceted. Just the fact that Oda is alluding to the idea of Imu being from the Void Century tells a tale. It speaks volumes, right? I can't necessarily prove it, but just given basic story structure, I would be led to believe that Luffy will fight Imu, the person who caused the Void Century, kill Joy Boy, etc. It would feel weird if Imu killed someone that was like 100 generations down, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I think Imu's definitely going to be multifaceted. Imu's going to have all these layers. We're going to be able to look at this villain and be like, yo, this villain had like this certain key trait that Imu has in their arsenal. And, I was actually working on a video on why every single major villain in One Piece plays into the character of Imu. I haven't recorded it or anything like that, but it's really cool because you see someone like Arlong who had the heavenly tribute that early on in the story, and like that's a key trait of Imu. You have Arlong and Hody being racist. We know the Celestial Dragons are racist. You could go down the list of every major villain. It's probably clear to a lot of you guys it's the case, but yeah, it's some interesting stuff.
I love that you're taking that angle, because I'm going at a very similar angle. I told Randy Choi this on a previous thing. I think that Imu, where did I recently talk about this actually? I feel like I was on a stream not too long ago, like maybe last week, where I was saying this, but that Imu might be the combination of all the princesses that Luffy has interacted with. Every single princess, if you take whatever their plight was in their story, combine it all together, that might have been what Imu's plight was when it came to the ancient kingdom. And I have a few videos basically playing with the idea that maybe Imu was connected to the ancient kingdom, a byproduct of it, whether a creation or a princess of it, because the way I'm seeing it is we got introduced to the last saga princess at this point. I fully think so in Bonnie. Bonnie is technically the princess of Sorbet Kingdom, and we don't know what that backstory is, but we're starting to get an understanding of like how immensely heavy this backstory is going to be, right? Like we're teasing the backstory for this, like in a way where we don't even get plot points anymore. We just see Bonnie devastated, right? Like Oda's teasing this backstory like that. And so the overarching parallel that I see for this, if I were to make, I talked about this with Randy Choi, but I haven't had time to make the video because Oda's just been in his bag with the recent chapters. I have the thumbnail made for it. Do I? Yeah, I do. But I haven't been able to put it out, which is that Bonnie right now is perturbed and disturbed by the creation of the world's smartest scientist in basically bastardizing her dad and turning him into a cyborg, which is like seen as like a future thing. Like what if when we finally get to understand like why Oda or why Vegapunk did what what we saw with like the pacifistas and all that, what if that was because like Kuma needed to do something, and maybe Kuma was going to die anyways. Like there's so many different directions, but whatever the good part of it is, Bonnie doesn't know it, and Bonnie hates Vegapunk for it, despite Vegapunk being the light of the rest of the world, like lighting up the One Piece world. I think was what the Big News Morgan said. And so if you make that parallel to the Void Century Ancient Kingdom was more advanced than Vegapunk. And so I'm thinking, like, what if Imu was the princess of the Ancient Kingdom and they were traumatized by something that scientist or that group of scientists did to her family, her father, and Kuma being the connection to the legendary Iron Giant? It could be that the original, like, legendary Iron Giant was connected to Imu in that way, and whatever the Ancient Kingdom did personally disturbed Imu to the point we see what we get now, where, yeah, like, if Bonnie doesn't end up, like, if Vegapunk seems like, oh yeah, like, I can't tell you what the thing is, well, yo, if you don't tell Bonnie what you did to Kuma and why you did it, then she's going, like, justifyingly hate you, you know what I mean? Like, everything that she does going forward is justified. And then you go to like an Imu story, if you tie in like a Vivi situation where her dad was like betrayed and taken coup d'etat and something like that, and you take in like Rebecca's story and Viola's story about like them being controlled and manipulated, you tie in all of those elements and put it into Imu. All of a sudden now Imu is not the bad person, and I can see that being the story, right? Like Imu being like when we get that story, you're like, oh no, I get it. I get why the world government exists, you know? So I definitely and so that reflects onto what you're saying 100,000%. I think Oda went through every single arc. The antagonist and what the antagonist did might reflect on the Void Century one way or the other. And so you know, I could see it. I'm glad you're doing that. Whoa, man, we gotta. People are gonna be hyped when we drop those videos.
Yeah, man. Hey, if you want to cook up, we can. I work quick, bro. You know, I had Preach on last week's Buster Call, and let me tell you, tomorrow me and him are dropping videos, and both of our videos are featuring each other, and the videos are totally different. We're not uploading the same thing. We're uploading two different videos, and I could work quick, Parvision. I'll be more than happy to do some kind of work with you, bro. I know the people would be hungry for that, bro. So hit me up, man. Whatever you need, man.
I don't work as quick as you, but yo, I'm down to get this on the books. That's definitely dope. Definitely dope.
All right, I'd love to do that, but Mr. Bushido again with the 2. Listen, what if T-Bone's killer is a CP9/10 member? You know, I'm not really feeling Cypher Pole, and I know this is kind of off topic, but you know, throughout Wano and especially Onigashima, a lot of fans are under the impression that CP0 is going to be this whole thing. They were going to kill somebody, you know. They were going to be like this huge obstacle. And like, I remember some people would even compare Blue Scarf to Kaido before Blue Scarf did anything, and like I just thought that was strange. But like, you had CP0 come through. Blue Scarf like barely survived against fucking X-Drake and Kaido. It's just like, they weren't as formidable as I thought they were going to be. So right now, I just look at them like a joke, you know. But as far as them, I completely like dodged the question though. As far as like a CP9 member killing T-Bone, I'm not entirely sure what they would earn from that, unless I'm overlooking something obvious.
No, for me, I'm on a similar boat. I think that Cypher Pole is like clearly getting culled in a way, right? Like they got essentially eradicated and held hostage on Egghead, right? Like 3 departments of Cypher Pole. Now you get CP0s there. We don't even know what CP9 is doing, right? Because that's the obsolete group that they were a part of. I feel like Oda is going to be consolidating what the main factions that are relevant, and that's CP0. And as far as like what they stand to gain from that, I agree with you. I don't think that's Cypher Pole's. I don't even think that's on Cypher Pole's agenda or radar. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, one thing that does make sense to me the Cypher Pole agents that were on Wano and Onigashima, they were held at a higher regard. But it's so weird because it's like, is Lucci stronger than all of them? Because now it definitely feels like it because he's awakened and they're like not. And like, would I mean, this is a crazy question, but like, would Lucci struggle against X Drake? Probably not, right? Like, would he struggle against Enzo? Probably not, right? Like, would Kaku, right? Like, I think Kaku probably takes those too, right? So it's like, as disrespectful as that might be, I'm obviously not thinking about it fully, but like, yeah, if someone just asked me like Kaku, Lucci versus those two, yeah, I probably have my hand on Lucci and Kaku more than the other two, but something that I slightly mentioned. I didn't want to detract from the recent video in this regard, but I might do this in a future video. In that Lucci and Kaku might be awakened because they fought Blackbeard on Baltigo. We don't know who of Cypher Pole went to Baltigo when Blackbeard went there, but it was stated that Cypher Pole clashed with Blackbeard. And hey, if Blackbeard's as strong as he is, and Cypher Pole is as disappointing as they are, how would it make sense that they survived Blackbeard and his crew, right? So it would make sense that the people that went were Lucci and Kaku, and they might have awakened because they fought Blackbeard at that time. And I wonder if that actually like lends itself to how they awakened or the reasons behind them awakening. It would be interesting, but at this point, that's how I see that they got their awakening. And it'd be cool if that's how it is explained. Yeah, I don't know if Cypher Pole is going to get more attention than they already have garnered.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as that. Then we got another super chat. Lord Vegito with the 10. Garp is loyal justice. Just like dogs are known as man's best friend, Garp the Fist could be a play on don't bite the hand that feeds you, Marines being the hand. You know, I as much as I like that, I don't know how much that really impacts, you know, the Garp versus Blackbeard Pirates fight, you know. I'm trying to see how that could fit, you know.
Well, like, Blackbeard's not the most loyal man, right? Like, he's loyal to himself. I like the loyal justice route. I think it fits. I think a lot of things right now will fit to in this thing. I obviously have a video saying it's like fatherly justice, which could be seen as a similar route. I think they all fit under the umbrella, right? Like, if you tie any of his justices to love or something, right? Because he's the fist of love that cannot be blocked or whatever, then I think it'll make sense. But yeah, I it's interesting because the loyal one is, it's funny because one of the major points that I emphasize in 2 videos is Garp is not loyal to the Navy. Like, every single instance we've seen him in the story, he's committing a crime. He let Morgans go. He's letting Dadan escape prison. He kept Ace alive. He didn't take down Luffy at Marineford. Now
that you list it all, it's actually really funny.
When Luffy broke out of Impel Down and Sengoku's like, oh yeah, he also destroyed Eni's lobby or whatever. Garp is like, I'm so proud of him. That's my grandson. You know what I mean? Like, he's laughing. He's saying he's proud of him.
He doesn't even bother to hide it.
Yeah, and the list goes on. I think there's 2 more examples, but then Dion here with another 50.
You're joking.
Yeah.
Are you sick? Bro, Dion, bro.
He's not even sending a message. What is happening?
At this point, anyone that will come to the channel they'll just have a membership. At this point, he's gifting future viewers, bro.
Yeah, that's wild. You know what's crazy? I can't get gifted memberships. That's wild to me. Like, I don't know how to enable it. Yeah, like my YouTube doesn't have it. I followed like the YouTube thing. I even asked the chat support, and they're like, "Yeah, this is how you do it." I'm like, "But I don't have that option." And
so people on your channel don't have the option to gift a membership.
No, they do. I just can't be gifted a membership.
Oh, that's So I think I understand what you're getting at, because I was looking into that this morning. Actually, it turns out on YouTube, when you gift memberships, it's random people, but on like Twitch, you could choose who gets it. Is that what you're kind of saying?
No, like, so when you get in like an overflow like this, I think like what happens is there's gifted memberships that can still be given, right? Like, let's say you have like you have 284 people here. Mm-hmm. Oh wow, that's a hello everybody. Let's just say Dion gifted 300, right? And there's a gap, and how many people are here, and how many people are being gifted a membership. There's extras, and apparently you can click on the thing. So if there's still some free, you can click on the notification that he has. And for most people, there's an option to opt into being gifted it, and it allows you to get it. And that's what people are saying, I think, because Hidden Island had a similar situation where there's more people than there were more people gifted a membership than there were present, and so random people were able to just get it, and I just can't enable that. It's so weird. Yeah, like I don't know if this, like I don't know if this account allows it. It might be that I have to go onto my like main account for it. I mean, obviously Parvision is the main account, but like you know, the YouTube side of the main accounts go.
Of course.
Yeah.
Dion Edwards, I know you're ahead in the viewer activity, but you know, I think everyone's fine with it. Dion Edwards, thank you so incredibly much, man. It's greatly appreciated. What was that? I'm sorry, 120 gifted, was it?
170.
170. Oh my god, this guy's crazy, bro. Thank you so much, Dion. Seriously, man. Thank you so incredibly much, bro.
That's wild. That was wild.
Oh, and then I see a 50. Dion with the 50. I guess I gotta stop gifting. My bad.
Sponsored, Buster Call sponsored by Dion Williams. The thing is, he's a D-Clan member. Should a D-Clan be sponsored? No, I'm joking.
That's insane. D-Clan member, bro. Wait, so that's what the D... Wait, so someone in chat earlier said that the word Dion, it's supposed to mean the word wine, like heavenly wine or something like that. So if the will of D is Dion, then the One Piece might have something to do with wine that ties into sake. Yo, we're cooking, bro. I think we have something.
Also, you said Celestial. Is he a D-Clan Celestial Dragon? I mean, he got the backing for it for sure, right? Like,
bro. Okay, the ancient Greek god of wine, bro. That's close enough to sake.
Yeah.
We could stretch it, man. But yeah, of course, Dion, you're insane, bro. Thank you so much, man. Seriously. Shouts out to the boy. Then we have I'm gonna call you Dai. Shout out to Dai with the 5. Is 1081 cover story not reminding you of Nolan, Squirrels, Sanji reading a book, hinting Conqueror's Haki, and the skull in his shirt? Thoughts?
Wait, what is it hinting at?
He's saying Nolan because of Squirrels, Sanji reading a book, and the skull on his shirt. I think I get what he's saying. I think I see what he's saying. If you remember, you know, the whole Jaya situation, the whole Jaya arc, we met Nolan and Cricket, and their hair, they have like the chestnut, so like that's like symbolism of a squirrel. Then you have Sanji, who talked about seeing a book in North Blue, so then it alluded to him being from the North Blue. Which relates to the 1081 cover because he's reading a book. And then the last one, the skull, the guy super chatted Dai is basically saying the skull of Jaya, when you put the two maps together, is the skull on the 1081 cover. So he's basically saying like a lot of stuff in the Jaya arc is parallel in the cover.
I wouldn't be surprised. This cover story is kind of wild. And you know what? It's actually interesting. Now that you really pointed out, like, you know how like the chestnut has like a point on it, like that Nolan has, and Cricket, and like the Tentatas put in the statue. If you look at Usopp, like the bubbles being blown, right? The bubble from Usopp, Luffy, they all have that pointed thing. So now I'm like looking at it like, oh, maybe it's saying more than that. I was talking about the Nolan thing recently. Like, I think I have like an entire video about Nolan, basically saying like I wouldn't be surprised if Nolan's going to end up being more connected to the story than not, right? Like we already tied him to Dressrosa, but Dressrosa is already like one of the most important countries, especially for the Void Century. And so like Nolan, for example, showing up on Wano back then, wouldn't be surprised. Nolan making it to Lodestar, right? Like I wouldn't be surprised if these things are going to be things that are said in the story. Like Nolan made it this far. Nolan being a very important character of the past. I definitely see it. Like one of my recent shorts was basically saying like, where did Roger get his inspiration from? Because his Jolly Roger doesn't look like him. It doesn't look like anybody we've seen in the entire series, and and we don't know where the Straw Hat came from, right? Like, did Roger just have the Straw Hat, or did he get it from somewhere? And the Straw Hat showed up in Nolan's backstory. It wasn't on him, but like it was there. So could it be that there's some connection to Nolan going down to Roger? Like that Straw Hat heard, like the Straw Hat, like the person who got it after the Nolan timeline might have listened to Nolan's story and decided to become an adventurer. And it could be that like because when you boil it down to what Roger actually wanted to do, right? Because the term, actually I don't know if I put this in the video, but oh yeah, I didn't. This is all something I'm going to cover in a future short, I guess. But the term Pirate King wasn't a thing. Like, yeah, Pirate King was not a thing. One Piece wasn't a thing. So it wasn't Roger's dream to become the Pirate King, to become the find the One Piece. That wasn't. He's the one who, like, not he's the one.
He pushed that. He enabled that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so on the flip side, people are also. I wanted to point it out that people are saying like that about Rocks too. Like Rocks, the One Piece of Pirate King, that didn't exist during Rock's time. So when someone says that they want to be the king of the seas or something, that might be why Sengoku says that he wanted to become king of the world, because Pirate King didn't exist then. One Piece didn't exist then. So anybody saying something like that, it could be extended out to that. But more onto Roger was that, okay, if he didn't want to become Pirate King, what did he want to do? And when we go to his conversation with Odin and Whitebeard, he says that he wanted to circumnavigate the globe. And so that might be what he set out to do. And I was like, yo, you know what's interesting about that? Is if that was his dream, or that was his ambition, and it led to other things, one, who inspired that? But two, isn't that kind of ties him more so to Nami? Because Nami wants to map the entire world.
True.
And so it could be that there's an interesting connection there, that like a crazy way where you could connect, like, hey, like Roger's like aspirations wasn't the Pirate King because it didn't exist. So Luffy was inheriting that, but who inherited Roger's reason to sail? If it was to circumnavigate the globe, well, that's more similar to Nami than anything else. And the thing about that sounds more like a Nolan type of thing, right? Like Nolan was the one who was like going around the worlds, exploring the world. He wasn't like he wanted to be Pirate King either, right? So there is an interesting connection throughout all of that plays in here. There was something, I forget where I wanted to bring this up. Oh, it was the Kaguya conversation. Before you get to another super chat, I wanted to ask you this.
Go for it. I'm down.
Who do you think is the man marked by flames at this point? You don't have to like say like fully, like if you lock yourself into a certain aspect. I don't know.
Yeah,
if you do, but like there's a few options, right?
Yeah, there's a few options on the table. You always have what I deem to be the most safe route, not most likely, but most safe, which is Prince Loki. I feel like Oda's gonna have to put more into that character. You know, you have people throwing around ideas like Mihawk, Dragon, Scopper. You know, the one that I recently have been, feeling is actually the Revolutionary Army, a combination of people. And okay. Typically when I hear something like this, I heard the conclusion before the explanation. Typically I sometimes I get a little wary when I hear a conclusion, and it sounds kind of weird, but I heard this one out. It was from the homie. Basically the logic behind it is you have all these clues about the man with the burn scar. Some seem confident and some seem shaky. Like, for an example, Shiryu kind of speculates that the person's with the world government. Then you have other people that are more firm in their clues for the man with the burn scar. Basically what the argument is that certain characters are confident and certain characters are unsure because they're seeing traits from people that are working together. They think they're seeing one person, but they're looking at a group of people. So when they say with the man with the burn scar, it's Sabo. When they say the man with the jet black ship, it's Karasu. And when they say it's a man with the world government, maybe he's affiliated with the world government, it's Kuma. So maybe that kind of answers, like, because it was a big issue. It's like, okay, we know that the man with the burn scar or the man with the road poneglyph had to have went to Fishman Island, but then you have again something like Shiryu where he's like, I don't know, maybe he worked with the government, maybe he didn't. It would make sense if he did. That right there is a red flag. It's like, why is he unsure? There's gonna be, I guess it's my opinion, but I believe that Oda's gonna show us why Shiryu is unsure, and the reason why he could be unsure is, again, everyone that's hearing about the burn scar man, they're all pointing at traits of the Revolutionary Army, not a specific person, and that's why it sounds weird, because you're like, wait, why a burn scar, but they can make whirlpools, they're affiliated with the world government? This makes no sense. How is one person doing all of this? It's because it's multiple people. But sorry to drag that out. That's going to be another video I want to work on. Actually, it's going to be upcoming video.
I've been seeing a lot of people point out like dragon specifically, and like the dragon, to me, like the main thing would connect it, and this has been my theory this entire time, is the whirlpool one, right? Like, how is that happening? If it's like elemental hockey, I'd like that, but obviously I haven't heard that perspective. I like that because a lot of people just land on dragon for everything, but it being, and the reason why I like it is because then that plays a beautiful explanation or demonstration of how rumors work, because that is something that I keep on talking about, that rumors in One Piece are how Oda makes it interesting, right? That's why my Fraud Valley video exists. Like, all of what we learned is rumors, because Sengoku wasn't there from what we understand, otherwise he would have told us like he was there. But then also he was telling us like the newspaper headlines. He was telling us rumors and gospel and propaganda at this point. And the thing is, the truth is, like, you can only get it from a person who's experienced it firsthand. And when it comes to the firsthand news about a lot of these situations, it's often that the rumors are not that close to what the reality is. You can understand how the rumors are made, but it's very, very different. And so for the Revs to be separated out as this the rumor around how the various traits about the burn scar man, I like that a lot. That gives me a new perspective. That's a dope video, because I've only seen people pushing just dragon, and I don't know if they're talking about it in the same light of it being more than one person, but like at the same time, it's like even Saul should be like, if we're talking about the world government, I wouldn't even go to Kuma for that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Saul's in that mix, because we know that the Revs connected with Saul at Ohara. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dragon still had communications with Saul. It would honestly be weirder if not. And so Saul could be that, hey, if this person has world government knowledge and they wanted to prevent someone from finding the One Piece, the way I see Shiryu's conversation going is maybe it is someone that's in the world government, but not that they're preventing people from getting the One Piece, but they are trying to guide who gets the One Piece. You know what I mean? And so Saul would be a good example of that, because he had world government knowledge. He saw Ohara. He should know about the road poneglyphs. He is a man with the burn scar. I do like all that. The only problem with all of it, and not necessarily the Revs, but with the Saul thing, was that this poneglyph had to have been taken from Fishman Island that long ago. And so, like, from when, like, after Roger and sometime before, Luffy got there. And would it make sense that it's Saul? Would it make sense that it's Dragon? It is interesting, because then there's the fishmen from the Revs that could play that role. We saw Jinbei single-handedly hauling a poneglyph, I believe, in a cover story. Like, he tied a rope to it and he like brought it to Big Mom, I think. So it's not like super crazy to think that someone could just move a poneglyph and not be like, I mean, Jinbei is strong, but the overall point being like, that's like where the connection goes. Where I'm like, how you need a character that's like low key, because like Fishman Island, the place where that poneglyph was, it is kind of like a protected place. Like, not everybody can make it there and not be like because all pirates have to, at least land-based pirates, have to go through Fishman Island and go through like the immigration process or whatever. But from what I remember, the Sea Forest thing is like kind of like separated out. I'm not exactly sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that poneglyph is. But if you were a fishman, you could just make it there. And the reason why I asked the burn scar thing, it actually relates to Emu in a weird way. You know the connection because I know you've talked about this before.
Yes, sir.
Is the man with the burn scar? Do you like the idea that it's a new person? If the possibility that it could be a new character?
Yeah, I don't mind. I feel like Oda has a little wiggle room to, you know, throw this unique, interesting character into Elbaf. You know, someone that's secluded. He didn't really want to travel the world. He wanted to just stay in Elbaf, you know, do his thing. It could be, you know, Odin from Norse mythology. It could be Prince Loki. I think we need a little bit more build up to Prince Loki, given that he's supposed to be, you know, one of the guys running Elbaf, as far as I know. I'm definitely open to, you know, it being a new character. It doesn't even have to be someone that's powerful. Maybe it's someone that, you know, I'll just throw something random out there. Maybe like only he knows how to get into the chamber that the poneglyph's in, and it's like, okay, well, we have to get the information out of this guy. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily be like a power kind of thing, like, oh, it's someone that's super powerful that for some reason was never introduced. I don't necessarily think, you know, I don't think I should maybe I should word it this way. I do think Oda has some wiggle room. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, so yeah, I'm sure you heard this one thrown out because this was like an innate reaction for me. Like the jet black ship and whirlpools, I thought of Davy Jones, like the whirlpools connecting to that. That was like, but
then that's Blackbeard.
That was like a live reaction, just like like an instinct. I was like, Davy Jones makes a lot of sense. Like treasure, poneglyphs have been said to be like treasures, but also the whirlpool aspect, bring it to the bottom of the ocean. Honestly, like I was seeing a route where like Kid meets Davy Jones because he's essentially being sent to Davy Jones' locker at this point, but at the bottom of the ocean. But Davy Jones, I could see it'd be a new character, not necessarily a new character, but a character that fits in here. Like you said, there's a lot of people think it's the devil fruit connected to Blackbeard or a will connected to Blackbeard. But then there's also, he's connected to Long Ring Longland, that's when he's introduced, but Pirate Island, which is something that we're covering right now. So that wouldn't be too odd thematically to bring in him now that we're on Pirate Island. Finally, Davy backfights, Davy Jones being brought into the story wouldn't be super crazy. It would feel a little awkward timeline wise because right now we have a completely different perspective of what, like, we're seeing Garp and Kuzan fighting. That's not even related to Blackbeard at this point. It is related to Blackbeard, but it's like there's an obvious like sword marine justice agenda overlaying everything, right? But as new characters go, there's a character that is in the story more than Shanks, more than Mihawk, more than Dragon, more than Garp, more than like all of these characters. Kuzan even, I'd go as far as to say. They've made more appearances in more chapters than all of these characters maybe even combined. And it's a character that has a history that goes back to the past, but also ties to Emu.
I know what you're about to say. I know it. My favorite character.
So the man with the burn scar, could it be? If anyone like hears what I'm about to say, no, they're putting in the chat.
Let's go.
And so the reason why Panda Man stuck out to me was one, yes, very early on, Oda decides to introduce Panda Man. He's at the Baratie, and listen, this is one of my own agendas. Oda is not like, yeah, some of the SBS are requests. Sure, I can see that. No, most of the important ones, Oda is just writing himself and he's just answering. The reason why I say that is in chapter 44, I believe, Panda Man shows up in the Baratie, right? Chapter 47's SBS, which obviously gets released with the volumes, it's a little bit later, but by then someone goes, oh, in chapter 44 in page 13 in the left panel you see a guy who looks like a panda. Who is that guy? What is he like? And Oda answers it. I'm like, okay, if this was chapter 1000 and we have like One Piece scholars looking at One Piece that in depth, right? Yeah, I could see someone being like, who's that character in this panel, blah, blah, blah. But this is the very beginning of One Piece. Ain't no shot someone's looking at Panda Man versus like full body, right? Or like more in your face characters asking questions about that. And yet he answered a question about Panda Man in SBS 6. And then in SBS 7, he gave us the backstory of Panda Man, tying it to Princess Kaguya, in the sense of that he said
he saw her in the tree,
and he was like being bullied about it or something like that. Like people didn't believe him.
Yep.
And that honestly ties itself to the original Kaguya story in a weird way. But here's the important part. Since chapter 44, Panda Man has made its appearance. You can see us on the One Piece wiki. Ever since as recent as chapter 1076, he's been in there. And the important part is, if you look at Panda Man, on his pants are flames. And the thing about Panda Man, the thing about Panda Man is he's a panda man. His head is white, right? Right's panda. His arms are black. He has human skin. Then he has shorts, and then he has his legs, right? But the thing about pandas is that they're black and white, so we don't even know if those are shorts, right? So you could make the assumption, right, of like, is that a burn scar? Is that a tattoo? Is that just his pants? That's how you get that rumor started, because you look at Panda Man, you just see the burn scar thing. Crazy, right? It's like, is that a flame? Is that a scar? What is that, right?
I just have to say, usually my favorite theories are like, you know, the stuff that I make because I always want to put my best work out or whatever. And, you know, apart from my own videos, I really enjoyed, you know, Dax mole theory for a while. It's a great theory. But this little thing we just went talking about, this is one of my favorite theories in a very, very long time outside of like my own stuff. I see the vision, bro.
That I might prioritize this for a lot of reasons, because
let me throw something in real quick before I forget. I'll raise you one. I can go on Evernote if I need to. I was gonna script out a video. This is so funny. This is like 2 months ago. Oh man. I was gonna script out a video of why Panda Man's gonna be the final Straw Hat member. And the reason for that is because in one of the One Piece intros, they have like the Going Merry with the Straw Hats all on it or whatever, and Panda Man's with them, and I'm like, you know what? The way this looks, I'm catching crewmate vibes, bro.
Yo, the thing is, like, Oda has answered too many SPSs about him, put him in too many chapters. I'm not lying. Like, go to the One Piece wiki. He's in more chapters than probably a lot of your favorite characters. It's honestly insane. Obviously not playing a huge role, but the other part of it is Oda confirmed he wrote Panda Man's name on a poneglyph.
He did.
If we're wondering about poneglyphs and Panda Man's name is written on it canonically, then there's a mystery character with flames and tied to poneglyphs. Well, there is a character.
Well,
like,
you see why the whole Moon Princess thing really comes to fruition. Because then it's like, if you want to go down the route of saying, fine, Panda Man's name is on the poneglyph, Panda Man has appeared in hundreds of panels. If you want to go down that route, we have to talk about the Moon Princess Kaguya. Because then that's like, wait, who the hell is this? Like, what's that all about? I think it's gonna be Emu. But I have to ask you, it looks like we just hit the 2 hour mark. I am more than happy to do whatever it is you're down for. I don't want to take too much of your time or anything, man. There's a whole bunch of super chats left, like a lot.
yeah, we could get through the super chats. It's chill.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, bet.
I got energy from this. Because I told you I was a little under the weather and I was tired. Yesterday I was tired, super tired on stream, like the first time in forever on a live reaction. And it's not that I was tired. I was like, something's weird. Like, I feel off.
Yeah,
and
you
then
just
later in the day I was like, wait, I'm sick. Like, I'm actually like, because there's a reason. There's parlor in the back, but I haven't gotten a cold in like 5 years for various reasons. But then when I was like, yo, I'm sick, what's happening? And I was like gonna tell you, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna muscle through. I gotta show that Congress hockey today. And I think you can honestly see how my energy revived throughout the stream, because I came on super tired, but now I'm energized. So I'm here for it. Thank you guys in the chat for being so supportive.
Dion is we need a Dion theory at this point. But appreciate you guys, and yeah, thank you guys for supporting Threevil, because like I'm having a great time.
Greatly appreciate it. Growth, excuse me. Growth stonks with the 2. Sanji is going to acquire Light Walk from Kizaru. Okay. Light Walk. It's an interesting one.
Are you okay? I feel bad. Did you get me? Am I symptoms?
No. I have my own symptoms I need to deal with. See, you have like, you know, the common cold, the common flu. See, yeah. I have something called Yodi-Lance disease. It's a really complicated thing. We don't really have to get into that right now, but Kizaru. No, so acquire Light Walk from Kizaru. Is he when Growth Stonk says this, when he says Light Walk, is he referring to like traveling at light speed? Is that what he's getting at?
Yo, I want to leak something real quick. I want to leak it. Because okay, there's no man. So in my Sanji video, I predicted that he'd get blue flames in Wano, right? And that Sanji's a huge part of my elemental hockey theory. That is like from day one on TikTok, I was saying that Sanji is basically the Avatar. He's gonna be the man who masters all the elements. And here's the thing, I think that he has a memory thing tied to him, which memories are super important. But then you look at what Perospero referred to the raid suits as memory armor. When you look at lineage factors, DNA, that's like memories of like of your lineage, your history, your family, right? And we see that with Jinbei, right? When his Seraphim still has the Fishman Jujutsu because it's in his lineage factor, right? All of that being said, with Sanji, I was thinking, right, because at this point in Onigashima, I'm not sure how people interpret it, right? Whether he went invisible or he went so fast it basically mimicked invisibility to Queen. Queen seemed to have gone invisible himself because it showed like the invisible thing and he wasn't moving and you could see like the transparent Queen. And we gave Sanji the sound effects for it, but we didn't get like the firm visuals of it. And I was thinking there's more than one ways to make Sanji invisible, but the light spectrum is that way, right? Like, cause I'm a huge supporter of Kizaru not just being of all the visible light. I think that he would be like the invisible light. It would be super cool if we saw like infrared and ultraviolet like powers that you just can't like see Kizaru doing, but then like that's like a way to elevate his power system. But at the same time, fire. There's something called invisible fire. And the thing is, you can get it through, I think, ethanol. Ethanol burning fire can burn invisible. It's blue, but it's invisible. And the thing is, if before Kizaru fight, which might come on Egghead, right? If he ends up fighting like Vasco Shot, who's like the liquor, right? Like maybe you get an ethanol through there, but like I could see a route where Sanji achieves invisibility through fire. He learns through light manipulation or fire manipulation. One way you can get invisibility, and so the light walk idea, the fire idea, all of this light spectrum thing, I think it does fit with Sanji in more ways than one. And I do think that when part of the theory in the Sanji thing was like, I was thinking that Sanji could show different flames, because we also see from Ace, I think we see canonically he has like a firefly flame that's green. From Marco, we see a blue yellow healing flame. Now Sanji has the blue flame that's hotter. Obviously a lot of people want the black flame, right? How that works in One Piece, you know, I'll leave it to Oda, right? Is it hockey flames, right? Like one way or the other, I think we're gonna see multiple colors of flames. And so when it comes to Kizaru, the light stuff, I see it. But I'll try not to give as long answers for every super chat. I'll try. That one got me excited.
No worries. I want you to answer however long you think it takes, man. I'm down for whatever. But I was looking on my Discord server, and Mr. Bushido wanted to clear up a super chat he had. He said, I think you and Parvision missed the point I was making with my CP0 killed T-Bone super chat. Them killing T-Bone doesn't matter. What I was saying is CP0 are sending people into Buggy's crew to, one, keep an eye on him, and two, if they get an opportunity to kill him, they will take it. So I guess they're throwing in spies towards Cross Guild. I guess that's what Mr. Bushido's saying.
But they wouldn't necessarily know that Buggy would be doing that. But I could, but, because then in that line of logic, is he saying that old dude is a Cypher Pole agent? Because that's cracked. If that's what he's saying,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be kind of sick. I'm not gonna lie, like I don't see it as strongly as he might, but that overarching thing makes sense. The only reason why I don't see it right now is that old dude would have to be a Cypher Pole agent in disguise for it to make a lot of sense at this point, right? Because that is the highlighted example. If he's saying Cypher Pole killed T-Bone to infiltrate Buggy's crew, then that would mean the guy who got accepted into Buggy's crew is Cypher Pole, unless he's reporting to Cypher Pole. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
All right, and then obviously Dion with the gifted 20, but following that is Super Scorpio with the 10. Kings of the worst generation stronger than those from the reckless era. Crazy theory about Bogar D par, lol. I hope 1083 we get RA focus chapter, then I think this says halfway through, Oda takes us somewhere else.
I think it makes sense for that. The only question mark is how Oda wants to handle the Reverie, because that somewhere else might just be the Reverie. And we don't necessarily know how Sword was acting at the Reverie either. So maybe it goes from Rev's focused flashback, or Rev's focused conversation around what Sabo was talking about and where he's at, and then the flashback goes to Rev's and Sword or whatever. But that other place could just be the Reverie. So. And shout out to the Bogart thing, because that, the recent video hype, appreciated.
Then we got Dion with the 3 months. If possible, can we get hot takes on other people's favorite theory and expand to support said theory?
Is he asking us for like other creators outside of us? Because we got some ideas.
Yeah, I got plenty of people I get hit up about ideas and theories, man.
Yeah. There's, you know what? Actually, a good current one is I like Preach's. His view of the revolutionaries, I think, was on point. It was a year ahead of time before we got the Sabo reveal of him being the Flame Emperor, him being the symbol of the revolution. Preach was out here saying I think that Sabo is going to be the new face, and it'll be symbolized through the goggles. And we go as 1081 or 1082, you see all the revs, even the vice captains, they all have the goggles. And so as far as what you need to add to it, I think that you could go through, because me and Preach talked about in a collab before, there's other characters that he didn't mention that that probably can tie you into the revs. And one of my favorite ones is Kobe. Kobe also has the goggle thing going on. It's glasses, but he has it, and it's emphasized in his bounty picture, even from Cross Guild. And so that's a tie-in from the revs and Sword being connected. So I could, there's more ways than one, but I really, right now, I shouted out on the live thing that Preacher's theory is pretty dope. But there is a lot of theories that I like right now.
Damn. That goggle thing's really cool. Damn, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, the Straw Hat being the symbol of the Straw Hats and Joy Boy and whatever that side of the world is. It's the Revs have a symbol, and it's Sabo, and it's cool that it actually is there. And we were talking, I think in our collab, we were talking about primarily Koza from Arabasta. After time skip, we see him have he has glasses, his glasses for sand or whatever, and then on top of that he has goggles, and it's why does he have glasses and goggles? It's so weird. And he is the first revolutionary, right? He was revolting in Arabasta, so it's we were talking about how he could be tied to the Revs or Sword one way or the other, because there's too many interesting connections for that. Crocodile being I'm not throwing Crocodile necessarily in the loop there, but we were talking about Crocodile having ties to the Revs at that time because Sword seems to Revs and Sword, one way or the other. The reason why we're saying that, actually, no. I could put this in perspective of one of my recent theories. Crocodile having a connection to Vegapunk was something that I recently have been talking about. Not to go into the full theory of it, but the question mark is we still don't know from Vegapunk how he puts devil fruits into objects, but in Baroque's works there was Lasso, who was a cannon or a gun that ate a dog fruit, and so it's kind of like how did he get that? But we see like Funk Fried in Spandam, like obviously he has connections to Vegapunk because he's in the world government, but how did Crocodile get that? So like in his crew he had somebody that could directly be tied to Vegapunk. Kobe word for word said that is something Vegapunk did. So there is like a weird thing that Oda wanted to establish in Arabasta between Koza, Crocodile, Baroque's work, Vegapunk, the Revs. I definitely see it, and I wouldn't be surprised if Preach's theory becomes even more true than it already is. Even more true than it already is. But yeah, that's my one right now.
For mine, I'm just gonna have to I needed to promote it anyways because I'm dropping a video tomorrow about Luffy's dream being a pirate country. This is something that I've been sitting on for at least a month, and typically when I get my theories, I can kind of know how I feel about something right away. Sometimes I have to sit on it, but this is something I was working on for a while. I just really adore the idea of Luffy as a kid talking about this true dream he has. He makes it seem like being Pirate King is a stepping stone to the dream. 2-3 pages after that, Luffy's outside in a box and it says Luffy's country. It's like he's making his own pirate country. It's like that is so strange, like so out of place. It's like let's just hypothesize. Let's just take a second to let's just assume the theory is true, right? Let's say at 1083.
I think it's true, by the way, just want to throw that.
Appreciate it. Let's say 1083, right? Let's say 1083. Luffy says, "My dream's to make a pirate country," right? We are gonna look back to that moment where Luffy's talking to Dadan and he has his own country, Luffy's country. That's gonna feel so obvious because it's like so weird that it happened in the first place. Like when I was a kid and I got mad and I was like fighting with someone, I didn't go outside, get a bunch of cardboard boxes and then write Eddie's country. Like, yeah, that's weird. So just that detail right there is like one of the ones that's like, man, that's so strange. Like, how do you argue that, But video dropping tomorrow. Look out for that.
I mean, I don't want to, maybe I connect on some points there, but like after 1060 came out, I put out a video about what Luffy's dream was, and my end part of it was that various people went viral for various aspects, but the Megan from Volume 1 podcast and I essentially agreed on this point that like Luffy could be saying that he wants to make everybody a pirate, and by that notion, you see that every country he's gone through, he's one way or inspired somebody to want to go to become a pirate, because he goes into each country, everyone has this understanding of what piracy is, and it's super negative, and then they come out and they're like, yo, I want to be a pirate. Or you get a situation where like Tama wanted to go set sail, and then she's like, yo, I want to do that. As far back as Syrup Village, like those kids from Usopp's crew, they want to do that. I think Skypiea, Fishman Island, they're running around with straw hats, for example. They all want to be pirates. I definitely see that. And then the reason why I like that even more post that theory was what Blackbeard said. Blackbeard wants to be king, a pirate, the king of a nation as a pirate, which would get shortened up to a pirate king. And so if Luffy said that, and you see how ridiculous it sounds to like Kobe's like, that sounds really dumb, right? If Luffy explained his dream to his crew, they might think that's really dumb, but then like Nami's like, yo, that's so you know what I mean? Like that makes sense. And what would that imply? That would imply that like, yeah, Luffy Luffy wants a world where like pirates are accepted, which is part of that original theory that I had. And the overall point of what piracy says is, if you go back to Drum Island, when Wapol is shooting down Hero Luke's flag and Chopper's flag, he was saying that the flag is a symbol of faith. Everybody like has a dream and passion, and that's what these flags stand for. And so Wapol doesn't understand what that meaning is. And it's interesting because Wapol is a king, became a pirate as a joke, and started up another kingdom, and he has a symbol, and he doesn't understand what that means, but Luffy explains it to him, like, yo, this is a symbol of faith. And I think that Luffy would want everybody to follow their own faiths. And like I saw someone bring up Bellamy, JR bringing up Bellamy. Again, he's making pirate flags for everybody. There's so many connections. And then the other part of it, my favorite theory, is that if you look at the antagonists, especially in the Yonko, their dreams are probably all connected. They just took parts of it and they chased after parts of it because there were certain aspects that they really liked. And Kaido's one. What is Kaido's dream? Kaido wanted to make Wano like a safe haven, a pirate heaven, so that all of them could come in a lawless country. It's like, well, if Luffy's dreams was to do that, and then you end up seeing a situation where Kaido's like, yeah, he's the real Joy Boy. He's the guy who's gonna push the dream. Then it would make sense that Luffy's dream is something similar. So I definitely 100% on board to see that, and I'm excited to see how you explain it, because I think there's so many different details that you can pull in to make it make sense.
Yeah.
And so, and the best one, my favorite one, again, Blackbeard and Luffy are going to be parallels to the end of time, and their dreams being parallels would make 1000%. It would make sense. It's just the point that they're chasing after their dreams in a different way is what I see. And that might also be important on its own, right? Like Joy Boy is probably the same thing.
Look, so I'll just throw this in really quickly. One of the things you said that I really resonated with me is you mentioned that Nami said, "Oh, Luffy, that sounds just like you," right? The reason I really appreciate you saying that is like sometimes you just have to actually read what the story is saying, right? Most people would write off that panel. They would be like, oh, Nami's just saying that, oh, whatever. But no, like actually think about that. Like sit down, like, okay, what do we know Luffy for? Meat, Pirate King, meat, Pirate King, meat, Pirate King, meat, Pirate King. That's literally Luffy's character. He's not into the philosophy. He's not into mathematics. He's not into science. Luffy's a very straightforward guy. You know, the whole meat and Pirate King thing, I think those would have to be very closely related to whatever the dream is. Otherwise, Nami saying it sounds like Luffy would make no sense. I don't think Oda would write that for no reason. That would be a blunder with something like this. The reason why I say all that to say, sometimes you just have to read the story, look at what it's saying, man. It's Nami saying it sounds like Luffy. We know Luffy wants to be the Pirate King, so if Luffy told Nami, I want to have a pirate country, of course in Nami's point of view it sounds like Luffy, because he constantly says he wants to be Pirate King. So that's just like such a simple, short, concise way to, you know, form evidence back in this theory. But I really agree with everything you said.
Yeah. And chat, if it's you know, my perspective is multiple theories come together from varying perspectives as well, probably closer to the truth than you want to realize, but it's a strong one. It's a strong one for sure. But yeah, that was essentially the point of that original Dream video, was breaking down the dialogue there, because I think that Oda really told us what the dream was without explicitly saying it, through the reactions of his crew. If you like what you're saying, if you like, I can do it in my head right now. If that's what Luffy said to them, and you go through his crew, their reactions, it fits, I think. Yep. From the most part, from what I remember. And so yeah, 100%.
Now we got Axe with the 3 months, my 2 favorite theorists like the stream. Shout out to Axe, bro. Appreciate you, Axe. And then we got a 2 from TJ. Kid needs to become a man. Like the stream, y'all. Yo, the kid hate is never gonna end.
Uses D man.
I don't know about Kid. I guess we talked a little bit about him. I'm still kind of unsure, but we have 9 months from DJ. So Dion won today's stream, bro. Dion went insane this stream. 170 memberships. God knows how much in super chats. So shout out to DJ and of course Dion, appreciate you guys, and Van Rodri with the W. Shout out to the Rodri with the 1 month in the Three-Eyed Tribe, and Lord Vegeta with the 2. Can you read my super chat from earlier? I think we did. Yeah, that was the, he's talking about this super chat about dogs being a man's best friend. Yeah, all right, cool. So now Mr. Bushido with the 5. Rox is Dragon's father. Luffy's mom is Garp's daughter. Bello Betty is Garp's second daughter. Garp's wife was an Amazonian. Fool theory in Evil's server and pins. Rox is Dragon's father. Luffy's mom is Garp's daughter. Bello Betty is Garp's second daughter. Garp's wife was an Amazonian. Wow, that's pretty complex, man. That's a lot to wrap my head around. Jeez.
Yeah, the first part, I've talked about that a few times, right? The possibility is there. That's something with this theory where it's like, you can't denounce a lot of that until, you know, we get more details. But the Bello Battery one is interesting because the one paint around, I even joked about it yesterday on stream, was like, yo, Bello Betty easily could be Luffy's mom. She's the East Blue commander or whatever. You know, I wouldn't blame Dragon. You know, workplace mistakes, you know, happen. You know, whatever. But you know, I think that the Bello Betty angle of it being the daughter, it explained like all the mannerisms that we see, because I think that was something that someone broke down. I think maybe I saw it on TikTok or Twitter that like Bello Betty like acts similarly to Luffy, but then at the same time you could say that about Bonnie, right? Bonnie, the gluttonous thing, the way they talk, act, like they kind of seem related too. So I see it. I could see it. The family tree being that complex, cool. I don't think it needs to be all of that, but part of it, yeah, I could see it.
And we got AK21 with the 2. He says, I'm thinking man marked by flames is Don Krieg. You know, you guys will.
Yeah, Don Krieg would be interesting.
Yo, the whole Don Krieg, Pearl, Jin, like those guys are never gonna die, man. Like, as long as there's a mystery character we're trying to learn more of, they have an opportunity, apparently. So funny, man.
Yeah, I mean, we are running back those characters are important, but maybe it's more for a narrative perspective than coming back into the story. But yo, if they show up under Cross Guild, wouldn't be too mad. I want Captain. The thing is, Captain Kuro gets slept on. Captain Kuro's cracked, and if he were in Cross Guild and he was cooking it up with like Mihawk and Crocodile, and we scaled him up randomly, I would be kind of down with it. It's kind of sick. Captain Kuro's dope. I think he's like the man with 20,000 plans.
I don't know. Like, I like Captain Kuro as well. It's just like the curious case of Captain Kuro. I need to make a video. That's going to be the title. It's like, he seemed so cool and badass, but like once it was all said and done and you take a step back, it's like, man, he really put so much on the line for this plan. Like, didn't he wait multiple years, like, just for it to fail in an hour? Oh man.
yeah. I think when you take the other part of it was it's so interesting because you can tie in the narrative aspect of it, because he was a very successful pirate, but what he did, and I might be misquoting and misremembering the full extent of it, but what he essentially did was like, yo, being a pirate is unsustainable. Like, it makes more sense for me to become the ruler of an island. That's what he really wanted to do at the end of it. And what were we just talking about with Blackbeard and Luffy and all of that? It's like, from a narrative perspective, it's very interesting because again, he was a very successful pirate, and his long-term view said, yo, I'd much rather have a life of calmness, of peace. And that's why he doubled down, like you're saying, to being Kaya's butler for as long as he was. So it is interesting. It is interesting. But there's another reason. I don't want to spoil it here, but I think Oda might have foreshadowed an entire race from Syrup Village, and I'll talk about that later. I mean, some people might know in the chat, but
Jesus. All right, OP Scans with the 44. Read from opscans.com. Yo, shout out to OP Scans. Those guys are always shout out to OP Scans, man. They're always so polite to me. They're always looking out, always trying to help me in some way, man. They're just so polite, bro, all the time. So shout out to OP Scans. I love what they do, man.
Yeah, they were here earlier. I don't know if they're still here, but they did a stream. Some of them did a stream with that One Piece talk yesterday with TCB, OP Scans, all got on the same call, and they're all friends. It was dope. The wholesomeness in that stream, love to see it. And then they surprised me because then all of them were like, "Yo, Par, what's up?" And I'm like, "Wait, you guys know who I am? That's sweet. Thank you."
That's tight, bro. Yeah. See, like that's what I wanted to like mention really quick earlier is like one thing I try to tell people like Preach and like Dak. I don't think maybe I might have mentioned this to you one time, but like, you know, with us making content and One Piece simultaneously running weekly, like, you know, we're making history. You know, eventually people are going to look back to when One Piece was weekly and they're going to think back to our videos, our takes, our theories, our breakdowns, our streams. So like every stream, every video is so exhilarating when I think about it. Like, just so happy to be here, and it's crazy that I even made it to this point. But to see people like you, because bro, I found your channel. You had either like barely 100 subs or less, bro.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time to start. That was a happy. The thing is, it's like, you know, another thing that kind of is in line with it. It's because of how hard we grind in our content. I could say that especially for you. You said it earlier, and it reflects on the stuff. It's like it's so hard for us to talk, even behind the scenes. I think, like, you know, in terms of DMs, we talk a lot, right? When it comes to these things, we share our conversations. But then in between, people are like, "Oh, damn! Did you see this video from Par Vision? Did you see this video from Threeville? Whatever." And I'm like, they don't need to see the videos, because they, like, the thing is, the more they see other people's videos, the less you'll see of them, right? Like, at the end of the day. And it's an unfortunate thing because it is a lot of work. And I think like TCB and OP Scans are saying a lot of that too. Like they talk and they're friends a lot, but like they focus on their translations heavily. So like when it comes to collaborating in a way, right? Like it's a rare thing. And so creating a situation like this, that's why I'm so grateful, because it's like the more times we get to do this and have an excuse to talk is great, because there's so many theories that we probably put out and we probably agree in a lot of ways, or maybe we disagree, but then when we talk about it, we're like, wait, if you take a step back from the theory, maybe they connect, right?
Yeah, so there's common ground.
Yeah, like we have the same logic, we went in different directions, or we had different logics and hit the same note, right? So and I know you guys can see that in this stream especially. I think every stream that me and Threeville have been on together, that's happened more times than not. So it's dope to see it.
Then we got a super chat from Alexander. He said, "We all agree Toki is alive, yeah?" Now this one's interesting because I know tomorrow, or I know earlier I said that I'm dropping a video tomorrow morning. Marshall D. Preach is also dropping a video tomorrow. We're dropping at the same time. His video is gonna have audio from me. I'm gonna be in his video. We're doing a collab tomorrow, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is because that video is gonna be about Bonnie. And the reason why that matters is because I believe that Bonnie has the Toki token of me. You know, I obviously don't want to give away too much information, but I feel like Bonnie's fruit is very similar to Shinobu's fruit, but there's no way that Bonnie ate a smile fruit, and there's no way that Bonnie ate Shinobu's fruit. The only way that this would make sense is if Bonnie had the Toki token of me. You would have Shinobu, the worst version who manipulates time, and Bonnie, the better version that manipulates time. I don't want to. There's a lot of really, really, really cool things in it I don't want to spoil it, so tomorrow I'm gonna need y'all to go to Marshall D Preach's channel. So icing on the cake right here. I say all that to say, with Bonnie having the Toki token to me, in my opinion, I would say that Toki's definitely dead.
Yeah, okay, so I actually had, before Wano ended, I think I said on stream, and I don't know if it made it into the final video, but it was one of my only like face cam theory videos because I just didn't have time to edit that week. That Toki could have been alive, but not what people think it would be like. Meaning that when she sent everybody into the future, she sent herself into the future, and to the day that she wanted to see. So she followed through everything of sending everyone else to the future. But before she died, in her last moments, she would be sent to the future of the day that she wants to see. So let's say that like Wano opens up, or Wano's in peace or whatever, because Wano isn't opened up yet, right? But apparently it's coming soon. That's what Odin said. And so it might be that Toki sent herself to the future where it's like Momo does open up Wano, and Wano is liberated or whatever, and she gets to see like Momo as an adult, Momo as looking like Odin. And so that like ties in because she felt like she didn't need to jump more in the future because she saw Odin. And it could be that like, hey, like she believed in Momo and she sees the last moment. That was a whole thing. But I like the idea that like the fruit got passed on, and I've talked about it, how like their Shinobu, Bonnie, and her fruit are all seemingly on the same branch, right? If you go to the analogy of devil fruits coming from a tree, and the tree having branches of powers. Well, you see like Sabo's fruit, Oven's fruit, Akainu's fruit, they're probably on the same branch of power. Similarly, the time fruits are on the same branch of power. That's kind of how I've seen it. And it would be interesting because if what you're saying is true and it's the same exact fruit, and she just imagines it in a different way, where Toki dreamed of a day where like whatever problem the Void Century was solved, then her power would function in a way where she can jump into the future. Whereas if Bonnie saw her power as a way to bring out the best timeline out of somebody, or a different timeline out of someone, then her fruit would act in that way. And if you are saying it isn't one-to-one, I'm curious now, and if you explain this, because we don't actually get this explanation fully yet, but there are 3 fruits from Wano then that got spread out to random places. The Bari-Bari, not the Bari-Bari, that's not the right one. Bartolomeo's
yeah, and
the clone,
yeah, and then
so those made it outside, and so it wouldn't be crazy to think that Toki's fruit made it outside.
Damn, bro, I wish I told you. I need to be telling you things sooner, man. You have the eyes of a hawk, bro. You don't miss nothing, bro.
Yo, feel free to hit me up anytime. But hey, that opens the door for a part 2, because it's like, we need an explanation of how those fruits got off, and maybe Oda did give us an explanation, right? Because my line of thinking is Higurashi and the other old dude. I'm timeline-wise, I'm stuff-filled right now, but they could be some of the people that left with the Shimotsuki, right? We don't know those other people, and so maybe like there is a line of context where like some people from Toki's timeline also left, right? Like, because you essentially get a rerun, right? So this is something I've talked about, where the Kurozumi hunt was redone in the modern timeline when Kaido's here, but it also might reflect in the Void Century. And so in the Kurozumi timeline, we get the Shimotsuki leaving for some reason unexplained in their timeline. And if Kaido's the ruler of the nation and Orochi's there too, I wouldn't be surprised if people also left Wano then. And it could be that then when Toki and Higurashi and all that,
yeah,
there's a group of people that left as well.
So you said something. This is completely unrelated to what we're talking about, and I do apologize, bro. But
No, it's fine.
you said Higurashi, and you just reminded me of something that I've been wanting to say on video and stream for a very long time, but I haven't figured out how to do it because I don't really know why it would matter. But basically, if you remember in Wano, Higurashi, the old lady that can transform her face or whatever, back in the day when she was changing her face around, we saw several people and like they were alluded to be rocks pirates, right? One of those people that Higurashi changed into was a young blonde woman, which people would believe to be Stussy or Bakken, right? But the problem is when Higurashi transformed into that blonde lady, whoever that is, that does not look like Stussy. Like, go look at the blonde woman. I've been wondering this for a while. I'm like, wait, why is no one talking about this? Who is that? That's not Stussy. Like, if you actually put them side by side.
I did that. No, I did that on the stream because people were saying it. I was like, really? And then I just sat back. Like, honestly, at this, it's no point in arguing and devoting more time to my stream to flesh this out. Because the other part of it is, it's not like it's a pre-time skip design. It's not like it's years past since Oda's art style changed. No, Oda showed us the Higurashi transforming into a Stussy-like character literally 100 chapters after Stussy got introduced, and then 100 chapters before Stussy got reintroduced. So for the art to change that much is kind of weird, and you put them side to side, and it's like, at that point, it's like, yeah, it's a blonde woman who looks pretty, has similar color eyes, but it doesn't necessarily look the same exact way. And you can see it in the coloring. You can see, I did that. I pulled up the anime version of Stussy and this character.
Yeah,
I brought the
don't they have different
manga.
colored eyes?
Yeah, I brought up all of them, and it's like, at
So
that
even-
point, like in the stream, I was just like, all right, you guys want to believe it? I'm not gonna break your guys' headcanons, but I'm glad you see it too. I'm like, it's not.
I see what you're saying. Cause like, what? Here's another obstacle you have to get over. Okay, whatever. Fine, the hair is long, and for whatever reason, it's also a different hairstyle. How do you explain the different colored eyes?
Yeah, there's so many different. It looks markedly different, and I know in that stream I pointed out, it's like, yeah, like Oda draws similar structures of women's, because honestly he has a W women structure, right? Like there's anytime he introduces one, and there people are like, oh, every girl looks like Nami. Well, they don't, but like he does have a formula for how he draws women, and like you could say it there, but like honestly, side by side they don't look that similar, besides the blonde hair. Now the connection of like Higurashi got Shiki's thing. She was also on Black Kaido's orbit of people, right? Like, it wouldn't be crazy if Bakken's Bakken's when she was on rocks interact with Higurashi. But if you have another person, because I have two, but like I'm curious to know what you got cooking for that one.
I got cooking in all I got everything cooking in all subjects, man.
Yeah. Oh, so you don't want to share this one?
It's this one's in the bag. I'm not saying a peep.
Yeah, me and Brago talked about it a little bit. I forget if we said who it was, but for me, right now, one character I am looking at to put into the Vegapunk orbit at least, because at the end of the day, that if Bakken's is related some way, Captain John has an interesting connection to a character that has a knowledge of the Will of D, and that's Kureha. And we don't necessarily, I think Kureha was blonde in the past, and we don't know what a young Kureha might look like fully. And like, hey, like Kureha has to be included somewhere. And I'm not saying Higurashi transformed into that, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is a character outside of Stussy that ends up being that character that Higurashi transformed to. So I'm excited to when you drop that sauce. I'm excited.
Soon enough, bro. But obviously we also had the Dion gifted and the 50 that we read earlier. Shouts out to Dion. Huge shout out to this insane man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And then we got L with the 5. He said, do you guys think there's any character who might surprisingly be a celestial dragon? I don't know if you want to count Shanks, but I 100% believe Shanks has Celestial Dragon blood in him. 100%. Whether it's half, full, a quarter, there's gonna be CD blood in him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think when it comes to plot twists for Celestial Dragons, the cop out is, for me, there might be entire races that have been oppressed that actually have Celestial Dragon blood in them. So, in terms of specific characters, though, I wouldn't like Luffy. Luffy could have it. People say that. Dragon. Oh, not Dragon. Shanks being a good one. Another one being, I was saying Vanderdecken. Vanderdecken could be one because we don't know. Vanderdecken's the original Vanderdecken, like, was sentenced by the gods for whatever, and it's like, who are the gods, right? Like, the gods aren't they celestial dragons, right? Like, you know, so there's so many different connections, and Blackbeard rocks being tied to that could be an interesting one, because when you look at the Don Quixote lineage that the Dentadas tell us about, the silhouette kind of looks like Blackbeard, and if that person was Don Quixote, Blackbeard connected to that lineage, wouldn't be surprised, because we got the silhouette and it looks like Blackbeard. Honestly, it's the same exact nose, for example, and then Blackbeard and Rocks. The reason why Rocks is an interesting one, and various characters that come from that, is because I was talking about this, like, if Blackbeard's intentions to join the Reverie become join the world government to gain access to something else, what if Rocks was doing that as well, and that's how he got access to God Valley? And that might lend itself to, hey, if Rocks needed this connection to God Valley, well, maybe he didn't necessarily do it the same way as Blackbeard doing it. Maybe Rocks had an innate connection to God Valley, more similar to Doflamingo. So it would be interesting to see if there were more surprising Decline members and Celestial Dragons, and them mixing. That I definitely can see that 100%.
All right, and Anthony's crew with the 2. Do you guys think Green Bull's justice is the worst? I think so. You know, Green Bull, to me, feels like if Lucci was an admiral, right? He's just like, oh, I love Celestial Dragons. They're the gods. They're the best. They do no wrong. You know, to me, I'm not, this is subjective, but to me, I'm not too much of a fan of that. It doesn't really hit me that hard, you know? If it's for no reason, kind of like, well, I don't really think Hody Jones is a good example, because I like how Hody Jones was used. Hody Jones was very one-dimensional, but it was portrayed really well. But like Lucci-esque characters in Green Bull, I'm not too much of a fan of those types of guys, and their types of justice feel kind of shallow. You know, something like Lazy Justice feels a bit more interesting.
Yeah, I think like, even if you're to say Green Bull was inspired by Akainu, I don't think Akainu agrees to Green Bull's sense of justice, because he doesn't like the Gorosei. He doesn't like the Celestial Dragons from our standpoint, but then you have Green Bull putting them on a pedestal. And I think what it comes down to is Green Bull is probably naive, in the sense of justice evolves. If you go back to what Aokiji says in Ohara about justice, justice changes its shape, and a lot of times justice can make you mad. If you're focused on justice too much, it can drive you mad, is I think what he directly says to Robin in Ohara. And I like that, because Aokiji's justice changed. Originally it was burning justice, going into Ohara, ironically, and then it changed afterwards, it seems like, to the lazy justice. And so I think Green Bull's sense of justice is just been something that, well, he's a new admiral, so he might have a sense of justice that, like, if I like Simply Kevin predicted it'd be wild justice. I don't know.
No way, you just Wow, that just
What?
caught me. Sorry,
So-
that caught me off guard. Simply Kevin, I've been really close friends with him for a very long time, and I've never heard like a creator like you name drop that. That just caught me super off guard.
Oh,
Wow.
I shouted him out in my recent video.
Oh,
my
man.
last video, because I think he's so underrespected for this
Dude,
thing that he
that's
did with
like,
Greenbull.
bro, we were at one point we were talking like every day. Like I know him. Like
Yo,
that's
Simply Kevin,
crazy that you say that.
When Greenbull showed up, I don't have the clout that I wish I had on Twitter. Like, I needed people to put Simply Kevin on the map because that video is.
You want me
so
to get you in contact with him?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think we were friended. I can talk to him, but like, I'd love to have him on the thing because my last video I shouted him out even more so because, like, the thing is, like, people want to look at his other videos and be like, oh, like, blah blah blah, it's not the greatest thing or whatever. Like, I think he had like a thing about in vitro, which is funny because I think that was in the thing, and like he had the whole thing about like Weevil and the insemination of it. And honestly, now. Yeah, I think more people would be on board. But the overall point being that, like, that singular video that he put about Greenbull, like a year before Greenbull got shown, literally predicted Greenbull down to his inspiration, what he'd look like, what his justice would look like, what his powers would be like. Every single thing that we got from Greenbull, he predicted in that thing, and he followed a pattern that was slept on, and that pattern is a huge part of my last video, where if you could one-to-one predict Greenbull to that level, and then apply it to another character, I wouldn't be surprised if it follows through. And so he predicted in the movie that this character Greenbull gets referenced as a Ronin guy. He said that it'd be wild justice, and that obviously goes into his fruit and like the hierarchy, the natural thing about it, right? And the thing about that the nature evolves. So maybe he has a naive sense of justice that gets challenged later on, and it evolves into something else. And so right now, I think, yes, Greenbull has the worst, least developed sense of justice because he's just a new green admiral in a lot of ways, right? He's a green thumb there, right? A green horn. Lots of puns you can make. And so I hope he changes, but I also agree with what you said. He seems like Lucci as an admiral. But the thing about Lucci is I think Lucci is also changing, turning a new leaf to add inspiration or a connection there, because when he goes into Egghead, he's seen questioning the world government, right? He's he's asking about Lelucia, he's asking about these things that like Kaku and Stussy are like, yo, I'm not trying to die with you, like stop asking these questions. And if he were truly like a government lapdog, he wouldn't be asking questions, right? But he is. And so now, and then we see him softly ally with Luffy, and that's another thing that I was predicting, that like the craziest characters that you don't think will ever ally with Luffy are going to, and Lucci probably by the end of it might actually side on Luffy's side, which is as crazy as it sounds. We might see that.
But
yeah,
it's so poetic how you said it. You nailed it, right on the head. All these characters that we're not expecting to team up, Otis accomplishing that. But then there's also the total opposite. All these characters that we didn't expect to fight are fighting. Like, you could argue, oh, we knew Garp was going to fight Kuzan because Kuzan was talked about how he was working with Blackbeard, and you could argue that. But like, let's be real. Early One Piece, looking at Marineford and just looking at pre-time skip One Piece, we never would have thought Kuzan would be fighting Garp and it would be in a situation where Garp would die. Like, that's a crazy thought. So I say all that to say, you have one side where it's all these unlikely people working together and teaming up, and then you have the other side where you have all these unlikely people fighting, and it feels really weird to see Buggy working with Mihawk and Crocodile, and they're trying to go after the One Piece, and again Garp versus Kuzan, and it's looking really bad for Garp. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Oda's gonna turn a lot of headcanons on his head for sure.
We also have A super chat from Mr. Bushido. Working on a new theory. Green Bull is the true 10th Titanic. The real Wang Shi had black ships.
Cook, Mr. Bushido. I want to see you on the Iron Chef. Make it to the Food Network, bro.
On the Iron.
Oh, you should he should name, if he makes a channel, it should be called like Food Network Stars.
Yo, this man has a theory for like every subject. So I mean, like, how do you hate on someone doing that, bro?
Yeah, exactly. Look it up.
I definitely agree with the concept of just, you know, if you have an idea you think's really cool and you know other people will enjoy it, just throw it out there. Because, you know, even if you yourself create the theory and you might not like it, what if someone else enjoys it? You know, what if it makes someone else inspired? You know,
Yeah.
not to say just put bad theories out, but anyways. Growth stonks with the 5. Since Egghead is basically Marineford 2.0, all 4 Yonko are going to reunite at Egghead to parallel the first Marineford war.
Wouldn't it be more accurate to say only 2 Yonkos go and then the other Yonkos get stopped by another Yonko?
I think something like this is tricky. You know, I feel like, yes, we're in a Marineford War 2.0, but that doesn't necessarily mean the setting needs to be the exact same. Like, you know, whenever Oda draws parallels between 2 different items, not every single detail about the items will be the exact same. That there has to be some level of difference. So as far as like the battlefield, I don't know if that's something that'll be mirrored, you know, from Marineford to now.
Yeah, I see it like if you could reasonably say that Wano and Onigashima had tie-ins from Enies Lobby to Arabasta to various arcs in the past, and you see them coming to fruition here, then what were the missing arcs that Onigashima and Wano didn't exactly parallel? Those are probably the ones that we're seeing right now. And then yeah, you look at it like Saba Odi and Marineford. You know, those could be more concretely said to be paralleled right now. And what's interesting about that, it's not a one-to-one. It's going to be recontextualized in so many different ways. And hopefully it's done in a way that we can look back and be like, wow, that was a cool, like, appetizer to this, you know? So, and in that regard, I don't know if we need a one-to-one for Marineford. I think, like, a new version of it would be really cool.
I agree. We also have another one from Mr. Bushido, just going crazy today. I'm working on my own YouTube channel challenge you guys, or I'm working on my own YouTube channel to challenge you guys. Any tips? Not looking to be big, just looking, not looking to be big, just getting my theories out under my own flag. I would just, Mr. Bushido, I would just say, if there's 100 things on your checklist and you can only get one of them right, just make sure you have a good microphone.
yeah, 1000%. I listened back to my old videos when I was recording from my phone. Nah, Mike's the most important thing. 100%.
It's crazy, man. I don't want to drag this out too long, but like when I go and I watch my old videos that are still public right now and I listen to how the mic is and all the echoing, and oh my god, it's like nails on a chalkboard knowing what my current videos sound like. And it's like, man, back then I thought the audio was great. Now I'm listening to it and it's like cringe almost.
Ooh, yeah, Dax is also saying he made an upgrade to it. I'm scared. Dax's voice is already Conquers Hockey filled. Imagine with a new mic.
Let's go. Hey, Dax probably on the Shure microphones. That's what I got, bro. I actually just got a new interface. I had to get an Audio Evo 4, or I'm sorry, audio. I don't even know how to say the word. It's called the Evo 4 because like my last audio interface broke and it was like right before the stream and I was scrambling, bro. So that would have been bad.
Yeah, I gotta upgrade my mic soon. Get an audio interface and stuff like that. Level up.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because like your content, like you seem like the kind of person that like it's almost hard to upgrade. Like the way that your content is you're very fact based. Like I don't think people would go for you to see like a fucking like crazy movie style editing thing. You know, people would go to Power Vision to see like some of the most genius things and, you know, learn. I think like that's like something like you dominate in the One Piece space for, like, for sure.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I the one thing I thank you for the compliments is too kind, but the one thing I do reflect on, especially with my recent editing in tow with that, not that I think my new editing is the final version of it, it's continuously progressing. Thing is, like, a lot of people it's evolving. Hopefully I get to like a final kind of way I end up visually adding to my videos. But I look back and I'm like, yo, like, it's crazy that so many people were on board with my channel when I was just putting up panels on there. And it was a lot of people, you know, even though like it's not a lot in the grand scheme of YouTube or even in our community. To me, it's a lot. And then when I see like 20,000 views on a video just with panels, and this was before I even had 20K subs, I'm like, I'm so appreciative of people who just like, you know, care to listen. And that, you know, there's a few people, Mr. Bushido being one of those people who I think there's a few people just like Mr. Bushido who early on were just like, who said that they just listen to me as audio and they like get what I'm saying, and then when they have questions they turn on the video and then they see like, oh, he answered the question with the panel or two. And so thank you, thank you guys. I see a lot of you guys in the chat supporting even back then.
Well deserved, man. And like I said, you've already left your footprint in the One Piece space, and it's really cool to see. And like, I was just like looking at your TikTok to see how far that is, and I was like, man, even this TikTok's huge. Because like I'm still trying to grow mine. I barely have like 2,000 followers on there, but damn, like even you're so established in that too, huh?
A lot of people don't know that I started on TikTok, and I left it because but I deprioritized it because my YouTube was growing faster than my TikTok for like a while. Like I had 5K on TikTok when I started. I think like when I started my YouTube and my YouTube outpaced my TikTok. I was like, all right, let me just put focus on YouTube. But now, like, I could see a world where my TikTok, Instagram, they all outpace my YouTube, and hey, I appreciate it. It's nice to get that respect from a creator like yourself, where like whenever I click on your videos, the quality is inspirational for sure, and you do get this like like environment. When you click on your videos, you're put into the Threeville experience. You know what I mean? It feels good. It feels great to hear that. And maybe it, you know, from what I remember, your TikToks, like you put the clips from your YouTube, but like maybe there's another way you can translate it that hits better with TikTok. And I'm down to talk about that.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
Yeah.
Let's see. So another one for Mr. Bushido. Appreciate you, Mr. Bushido. All the super chats. I'm extremely grateful. Thank you. He says, my theory is Luffy wants to unite pirates and marines, aka a world of peace means fighting Morganeers. Read Romance Dawn. Do you know what he's referencing, the Morganeers? Because I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Just to catch people in chat up to speed, early versions of One Piece Romance Dawn, supposedly there was supposed to be two factions in One Piece. You had the Peace Mains, I believe, and then you had the Morganeers, which is basically like, it was Oda's way of saying like, look, two factions in this world, good, bad. So a lot of people use that to argue about how One Piece is currently going. I think it is pretty interesting. I was going to use that whole idea about the Morganeer and the Peace Mains for a theory the other day, because I was in Discord like talking, and like I had a theory that came to mind, and I didn't write it down and I forgot what it was, but I just remember like the whole detail about Morganeers and Peace Mains. I was going to use that for a video. I hope I remember what, because I thought it was interesting. But anyways, I went way off topic. What are your thoughts on that Mr. Bushido sub chat?
I think to summarize it, and I talk about this in a recent video, that anything that Oda used as a concept art or pilot or anything, it's important. And so if it comes down to like the Morganiers and the Peace Mains versus Morganiers being a pivotal question mark or a reflection in the current timeline, yeah, makes 100% sense. Like maybe Cross Guild is a reflection of the Morganiers and Luffy's the Peace Mains, and so like, you know, one way or the other we're gonna get that, and it's going to be important. Definitely gotta read Romance Dawn, in my opinion. The fact that Oda made Garp, I think Garp was a pirate originally in one of the versions, and he was the one who had the Gomu Gomu no Mi. And
Yeah, so interesting, man.
Yeah. So, like, the fact that Oda played around with Garp's character that much should tell you a lot about the importance of where Garp is right now in the story. Oda definitely did not make Garp's current timeline up recently. Like, no, he had this planned out for a long time, in my opinion.
And then it looks like the final super chat is Dion Edwards. Appreciate you, Dion, with the 20. Favorite ice cream?
Safe one, I guess, is cookie dough. I like cookie dough. Like Rocky Road is kind of cool. I like when it's like, I don't know. I like cookies. Cookies are my favorite. So cookie dough ice cream is my favorite.
I was gonna say the same exact thing, bro. It's like the safest.
Yeah. There's some good flavors out there, but cookie dough is like, if I go to an ice cream place and like I'm confused and I'm holding the line up, and whatever, like I had, like, you know, like the dope ice cream places with like mad long lines, and you had the whole time to think about it. You go to order and you're like, a cookie dough, just give me cookie dough.
Oh my god!
And then when they say that they don't have cookie dough, I'm like, come on, how you don't have cookie dough? What are you saying?
It's like when you go to a restaurant and you don't know what to get, so you just get the chicken centers.
Nah, cookie doughs is better than chicken tenders. Come on.
I mean, yeah, but you know, just for comparison's sake.
Yeah. Because like chicken tenders is like safe, but it's chicken, right? But
yeah.
The thing is, like, cookie dough, I actually like cookie dough. You know what I mean? It's not like a bad fallback, right?
What about cookies and cream? Because I would definitely have that in my top 3, or at least top 5.
Cookies and cream are a good fallback. The only issue I've had is I feel like people have somehow fumbled cookies and cream. Like, I've had bad cookies and cream sometimes, and I don't even know what that means, but like I've had flavors where I'm like, damn, I wish I got a different flavor from this place.
Man.
But cookies and cream, obviously, I mean, that's essentially what Oreo McFlurry is, right? Like, so.
Hey, Dax said chicken tender supremacy. Do you know anything about that?
There's a certain stigma around people who like chicken tenders only, but I'm not gonna slander anybody. Chicken tenders, solid. I go for chicken tenders as well, but yeah.
Then another super chat from Kenneth Adams. Appreciate you, Kenneth. He said the man marked by flames is Nico Robin's father. It was his research that Olvia and his crew were conducting when they left Ohara. So why wasn't he anywhere on the island? Because he works for the world government. Damn. That's really fun. I've always wanted some kind of lore, you know, to Robin's father. You had like that offhand comment. Oh, you know, go follow your husband's admirations, whatever it was exactly. That's definitely a fun idea. Not too much to work with there, but
I like. I've thought about everything before he worked for the world government part, but that angle alone is kind of cracked. But the man marked by flames, right? It's like, it's funny if it was Nico Robin's dad, because then it's like he wasn't at Ohara, so then it's like, how did he get marked by flames? Did he just like burn it? He's like, oh man, I feel so bad not being there, and then he, like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting.
That's silly as hell.
Yeah, but I do like Nico Robin's dad to connect back in some way, because it's such an interesting thing, because Olvia left Robin to push his aspiration. So it's like, you're telling me Robin got abandoned as a child because of some random dude, and the mom believed in him more than Robin? I don't know. It's interesting, right? So Hey, if we get Robin's dad info, another deadbeat dad, interesting. Maybe
Let's
he's not a
go.
deadbeat. It follows the thematic more ways than one.
Let's go. And 5 months from L, shouts out to L. If the next chapter shows part of Kuma's backstory, it'll be one of the best span of chapters. I can't wait, man. I really like Kuma as a character. You know, what he did for the Straw Hats during Sabaody was really great. You know, his role and, you know, the pacifistas during Marineford was really cool. Everything he's doing at Egghead is also very fun. I'm curious to see what he does at the Red Line. I really like Kuma as a character, man. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Oda just goes ham with the backstory. I'm sure Oda's gonna be in his bag, bro. He can't fumble this.
Yeah, I agree. But I did want to say I'm getting a little hungry, so I will. This is the last super chat. So
Bet.
but,
All right.
Or not this. If there's more.
No. We're all good here, man. I think this is where we're gonna wrap it up. This is kind of a long one.
Yeah.
Lots of questions.
Hey, our collabs always I think because I told you this before behind the scenes, but like, you know, obviously creators get reputations, and I don't know what my reputation was, and obviously reputation precedes itself, and so everyone tried to put an image of you before we first talked, but my first conversation with you directly was at Jay's Reverie, right? And at Jay's Reverie, I quickly understood that we were birds of a feather, bro. Because then when you pulled up and we stayed the entire 10, 11 hours, and then you streamed afterwards, I was like, yo, I thought about it, but I didn't do it. And then so I just hopped on yours and I stayed for the 3 hours. And so like we long streams, this isn't even a long stream in my opinion. The only reason why
comparing it to the Reverie, yeah,
the only reason why I'm tapping out right now is because I'm a little under the weather, plus I gotta go get lunch. But listen, thank you chat, thank you Deanna Edwards for sponsoring
this is going crazy, bro.
Yeah, and then everybody else who supported 3Volt. And then 3Volt, thank you for having me and allowing me to talk to your viewers as directly as this is, and you know, giving me the feedback on the theories, hyping me up like you did. That was too kind of you.
Yeah.
And guys, like me and 3Volt had collabs in the past on my channel, but like every single time we ended it with like, yo, we need to talk more. We need to
every single
more,
time.
Yeah. There's so much more, and it feels like every single time we dive so deep into it, and then it's like, how do we keep doing that? Like today's one, we went really like Higurashi stuff. Like there's so we went
the Karasu's Devil Fruit, the Morrigan.
Dang, and there's so much more. Hey, hopefully Oda cooks a lot. I want him to slow down for his own sake, but if he cooks a lot, maybe we come back in like a month and a half and we got a lot more substance to flesh out. So always brings a smile when I see you message me and I see you online posting up. So thank you.
Same to you. And I can't thank you enough. You took the time and energy out of your day to come to the stream for 3 hours. You didn't even have to. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm glad to see you make it this far. Like I told you, I found your channel really early on, and to watch you make it this far, to have a name for yourself, you have like some of the most diehard supporters I've ever seen. Like I'm 100% serious when I say that. Like the PAR supporters, bro, they go crazy for you, bro. So again, I can't thank you enough, man. I really appreciate it.
Shout outs to them. Shout outs to your guys. Shout outs to the community at large. Always looking forward to it.
All right.
Yeah.
But we're gonna call it here, guys. Any last things you want to say, PAR Vision? Any final thoughts?
Yo, I'm
And he-
looking forward to your future videos. There was a lot of exciting things that I'm. That's another thing when it comes to the creators. It's so cool where someone's mind goes, especially given the current chapters. My mind rarely stays with the current chapters. I mean, for example, my recent one, it is connected, but like it's about a character that literally isn't in the anime or manga really at all. But for me, I think the next few videos to give people, excite some people who see the VOD or are still here supporting, doubling down that Zoro is a mink. Zoro has mink lineage. I actually hinted at something in this thing. I didn't tell you guys what it was about. I said, and then Threevil's like, whoa, really? He said that, and it's in that video. There's that one. I think another thing was, I'll say it here because I know a lot of people have this idea, but you figured out the naming scheme of the Gorosei. We don't have it confirmed fully yet, but it's fair to say that you were spot on with the planet names, right? I think I might have figured out at least the other, like the first name that the Gorosei have, or the second name that the Gorosei have. I might have figured out that. So if you figured out the last one, I might have figured out the middle one. And so together we might have like the full view of it. I'm gonna reference that. That's a video that's coming up soon. I might do the Kuma one. I'm gonna have why Dragon is going to be the strongest, one of the strongest, if not the strongest character video. So a lot of videos, a lot of varying aspects. If you guys want to hear more, because I like teasing all my theories on my live streams, tune into the live reactions. I'm gonna try and do more of my Voice of All Things streams on Sundays or on break weeks or whatever it is. But always appreciate you guys giving your presence, giving your time to listen to me and Threevil share our ideas during our time, because man, if we streamed all of our thoughts about One Piece, it would just be a 24-hour stream.
For real, you just talk nonstop.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I hate to do this. What was the very last thing you were saying regarding like theories? Like you were explaining something, it just slipped my mind.
Oh, that like, you know, that we can come off of 1082 and you can make a video about Emu being reflected on all the antagonists in line of that. And I could come out a video of talking about like the most powerful admiral that hasn't been talked about. Or that Zoro is a mink, and then you have like a different thing. And
because
somehow we're all like on this, we're all reading week to week.
I remember. Okay, I remember. I hate to drag on the stream, and I know we're trying to head out here, but I would hate to forgive this in case this really helps you. I hypothesized that the first time the Gorosei were shown, there was like this big old panel of them, and in the middle of them was the sun, and I thought that from left to right would be the order of planets from the sun. And the craziest part about that is Saturn, or the last planet, was all the way on the right. It matched up. I don't know if that's going to be of use to you. I just thought I should tell you in case, you know, that would help you out.
No, that actually helped out on a previous one, my Sun God Orbit video. I referenced.
Oh, you're right. Yes. I think I commented on that one.
Yeah. So that one definitely, and that's where once I like had the Gorosei in my mind, I was like, Oda's putting in. The thing with the Gorosei is it's proof that Oda had a lot of thought into the character, so much so that he could not separate out his inspirations, and he just wanted to have all of it in there, to have a four-named like Saint, Jay, Garcia, Saturn. Each one of those names are probably important for some reason, right? Maybe the J part is filler, but maybe it's not. Maybe the Garcia one is filler, maybe it's not. If the Saturn part isn't, I don't think the Garcia part isn't. Maybe the Saint one definitely isn't. It's gonna tie us to the Vatican, to the Roman lore, all that stuff. But yeah, and then that's why like I think it's funny because I think you got the cipher for the last part of the name. I might have gotten the cipher for the middle name, and so if you put our visions together, all of the names. Vision, Evil Vision. We got the Gorosei unlocked, bro. And it's fun because you're also on the boat that the Gorosei probably will have like elemental hockey-esque type of
I'm down, bro.
I think we got the blueprint here. I think we got
Man,
the blueprint.
how poetic would it be for me to like, you know, discover you and really get to know how you craft your theories through like the elemental hockey theory, and then like we end off One Piece with the Gotta say having fucking elemental hockey.
Yeah,
That'd be
it'd
crazy.
dope. It'd be dope. 100%.
But yeah, again, can't thank you enough for being here, everybody in YouTube Power Vision. Like I said, guys, video dropping tomorrow. I think it's gonna drop at 1 p.m. EST. Again, thank you, everybody. Signing out.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace out, everybody.